Welcome. Just trying to get things set up here a little bit, guys. Bear with me for a second. If you can, make sure, let me know if audio is okay. I don't even know if we're on the right mic, if it sounds funny. Welcome. Like I said, we're just getting her fired up here. Doing a little checky check. See what we can do to get things brightened up a little bit, maybe. Steve. Is it Steve or Steven? I think it's Steven. Let me read his email here since we're doing a live. Figure out how to address it. And what the heck? Jump on here, right? And just by the way, you guys are more welcome. Man, I don't know if this audio. I'm gonna do a really. It's the only way I know how to make the audio. Let me know if the audio's working or if it sounds really scratchy because I don't know if I'm on the right mic. So anywho, let me see. No, that just mutes it. Anywho, thanks for the like too. Oh, by the way, if you guys jump on, hit the like button. Just brings more people in, more conversation, more fun, more brains, more minds. The power of the minds. So let's see if I can pull up his email here. Looks like it's Steve. Says, hi Dave. I was wondering if you could get if I could get some advice. So I installed my old Wayne Dalton 9100 garage door recently. It came with the Torque Master system, which it turns out I didn't like. He says no matter what I did, right side cable kept backlashing, like fishing line. Sometimes does whatever. I raised the door cable drug across the plastic drums a couple of times and flattened all the threads on it. So probably on the plastic drum, look, it turns red. What it does is those are pretty common to wear out. Let's see how this light does. If this light does okay, we'll try that. Maybe it'll tone things down a little bit because sometimes my hands just get wild. So let's see here. Where was I at? So the plastic, it got worn out. It says decided to convert into a traditional torque system, spring system, and purchased a kit made specifically for this door. Bottom line is right side cable is doing the same thing. The original cable was doing. The door opens smoothly when emergency cord is pulled and manually lifted, but the cable, when reconnected, still comes off. I have made sure the cable is started on the first groove like it's supposed to be, and added what did he do? He put between half and 3/4. Oh, it happens when it's half to 3/4 of the way up, which is a little sketchy. That normally it's, I guess 3/4 is pretty common. Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you, from Steve. So, a couple things, we've talked about it before, and you guys are more welcome to chime in. Some of my seasoned vets, or if you got anything or anything. Remember, you guys can ask questions. We can get into it. Like I said, if somebody too, let me know if the audio is okay to say it's sounding all right. I'm gonna do a little draw here. This would be like if you're standing on the inside, right? Looking out the jam. I need a little board here. But you got to remember that track. You want to make sure that track is level. Some people do it all different ways, right? Sometimes when they stack the garage door, and even when the garage door is in place, you can normally find some kind of line on there to go off. Now, if you want to jump to the meat and potatoes, and you got something like this, or you got a buddy or an uncle or anything that you could borrow this from, this might be the lifesaver right here. You got yourself this is actually a Milwaukee. This is a laser. I like to kind of cheat. I don't know if it's so much cheat. I just like to be efficient, and I know that this is going to be true. So what you do is this thing. See how this thing's blinking right now? It's blinking because it's telling me it's out of level, that I'm way too far out of its little hemisphere in here. And right there, right there, I found it. Right there's its sweet spot. It's stabilized. It's also moving because I'm wiggling around. But if you can get something like this, what you can do is you could run this across your top brackets. your bearing plates up at the very top and see how far they're off. 1/4 inch is probably okay if anybody wants to chime in. I don't try to go over a 1/4 inch. If they're out of whack, if we're talking half, 3/4 or an inch, that's a big deal. So just to kind of clarify that, like I said, that's the track on the side, right? Because the building or whatever could be off, or however somebody stacked it. The concrete could be off. So your track might be off. So what's happening is your spring and everything up there is kind of technically it's crooked. So you think about it, one side's higher than the other, so there's more travel, and that's why typically you will lose the cable. Now, there's other things that I've learned from you guys. For one, let's say this is the bottom panel, right? Let me make a bottom panel here. Put a couple squares in there. Dress her up a little bit. Another thing you got to look at, the bottom brackets. This isn't very common for me anyways, that I've ever had a problem or I've ever seen, but your bottom brackets, right? If your bottom brackets are sitting up like they're off, that could be a problem. So your bottom brackets could be a problem. Let's just say one's in the middle of the section, the other one's at the bottom. Well, that's different. That's different in travel distance. So those are things to think about. I've had it before too, where stuff is bound up. You got to make sure that everything's oiled good. Nothing's binding on you. I had a spring trick me one time years ago. Oh, hey, we got 2 likes. Thanks for the likes. And like I said, if you guys got any questions or anything, don't feel, obligated to, we got to stick to the agenda. You're more than welcome to throw it on in here and we'll talk about whatever you got. So that's a couple things that come to the top of my head. What's really weird is I honestly don't think I've ever had, I just don't remember in my career ever having a torque master throw the cables. And I don't know if there's some theory behind it. Obviously, it's happened to Steve. I keep saying his name wrong. Is it Steven or Steve? Steve. Sorry. I keep thinking Steven. So, you got to think about, but like I said, the torque masters, for some reason, I don't know if it's because it's always had the plastic case over it and I just never caught it. I don't know if it's just I gotten better over the years to identify it. Some people also, another little trick, I forgot to mention this, it's just coming to my brain. My brain's working a little slow today. It's Monday. Is you can level out the door, right? And some people measure in the track from the door to something in the track. Could be a bolt hole. It could be a side lock area. Some people do that. You got to make sure this bottom panel though is level, right? Bottom panel's got to be level. And then you can measure off that. There's different ways guys do it. You got to make sure that thing's level. I always tell people, I said, I don't care about I don't give a rat's tiny about the building so much. I got to make my door level. I got to make my track level. I got to make the door function, right? I see Rusty's here. Welcome. I see Rob's here. Welcome, Rob. I don't think I've seen you here in a while. Hope you're doing good. Hey, Dave just came in. When are the cables coming off? So he said about halfway to 3/4. And it sounds like he had the problem with Torque Master. So I think he eliminated that system and then went to the standard torsion spring. And from the email, it sounds like he's having the exact same problem. So to me, that my first indications that the track is like this, or a bottom bracket is something's really off on it. What do you guys think? I mean, I can live with a 1/4 inch. Obviously, less is better, but 1/4 inch is probably my max, just off the top of my head. Like, if it's more than a 1/4 inch, man, I'm gonna be adjusting it. It all kind of depends. I don't like it. I like it to be more like an 1/8, but 1/4 inch I think is my max that I'd allow if I had to, for that stuff being off. The bearing plates obviously could be one of them. There's a lot of factors that go into it. Your bearing plates at the very top. Did you miss a hole? But the one I think I failed to mention yet was the one that I did. I feel like it was for a Chinese lady. It was throwing me, but what was happening, and this is why I'd like to hear your guys' opinion. I'm pretty sure I know, but like one garage door spring, because it was a smaller door. I believe it was a 9x7 is what he said. With one spring, it's always constantly, when it's opening and closing, it's shoving a certain way. And if you don't have that top flag bracket pinned in good and stabilized, it can tip. That top one, that top bearing plate where the drum's next to, it can actually tip, and it can start slowing down. It can rub hard on that bearing plate. I've had that happen before. I had it where a bearing was jamming up on me, and I couldn't figure it out. I sprayed everything down, and finally I figured out it was tipping on me hardcore, and it was getting slowed down. And that's why when I lift the door up, it bottom out on me, and my cables were coming off, and I was like, "What is going on with this thing?" So it's hard to say. I think it was 9. Let me just double check the email. I thought he wrote, what was it? Oh, it's even shorter. It's an 8 wide by 7. That's a baby door. That's a baby door. Normally you don't have that kind of stuff on the baby doors. They seem like um, they grow, right? The bigger the 16x7s are what really normally give you a problem. So a little 8x7, something's going on. Rob said audio is good. Good, good, good. Matthew, what's up, Matthew? Says, hey Dave, love the videos. Random question. What do you think about was this cable snubbers? Is that the spring loaded ones? Is that what I'm assuming those are? I don't know exactly what those are. If we're talking about the ones that are the spring loaded at the very bottom, man, I'll do them if it's like kind of a last ditch effort. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to come back to the service call for like high lift. I've had commercial ones where the jack shaft, the door is just a little stiff, or somebody installed it, a little tight. So I use them. I hate them though. I mean, I absolutely hate them. They grind. They normally wear out on the side of uh, the track and wear out anyways and go boing. And then, when you get them on there, you got to pinch the crap out of them. I mean, so they don't come off, because it just seems like they never want to stay. Rusty, what's he got? So it sounds like what you said, track not set the same distance, does more tension fix it? Yeah, I don't know about the tension, but it's good to bring up, honestly, because if you don't have enough tension on it, or he has the wrong spring, which could happen. Sometimes, unfortunately with garage doors, it's everything's a very engineered thing, right? It's kind of one of those, um, a package deal. So I believe I thought he used the app on this one. Maybe I was wrong, but well, no, I think he just got it specific. So who knows where he got it exactly? Got like dust balls or something flying by me here. It's making me freak out. That might be too dark. Dun, 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 dun. But yes, so Rusty's bringing up a good point. Make sure the spring, paint a line on that spring. Well, hopefully it has a line on it from the get go. And then you can see. That's why I'm a big person on the holes. Paint a line in that spring. You know what I mean? Some guys like to count the holes. I like to see the turns. You know what I mean? So when the door is up, I can physically, see with my eyes that I go, hey man, it's got no more cable tension, or spring tension. So that could be something. Rob's got says, been a while, Dave. Could be horizontals, not level. In the back mainly. Yeah, that is true. But it seems like they'd have to be off a long ways, don't you think, Rob? I mean, you'd have to really crank those puppies. I mean, because what are you going to get out of them? Like a quarter, half an inch? I mean, not saying it's not possible. I mean, that makes sense. But if you got any more details on that, throw them in. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of curious because, but I mean, if they're off, they're off. I mean, yeah, I've come across some pretty crazy buildings before, man. I've had some that are crooked. The building was darn near going to fall over, had a hole in the roof, and I'm putting a garage door in it. And as the years went, um, they were calling me for service, and I should have just never done it. And the building, it was slowly kept falling over, which was causing my track and stuff to get out of whack, and cables. And it was a bad situation. I should have said no from the get go. Do do do. Matthew, is it Orbs? I don't know what Orbs. We call them cable savers. Is that what you were talking about? The cable snobbers? New age. Seems like I haven't seen you in a while either. Hope you're doing good. Oh man, the water's tasting good today. Me and Cap had to put that door. Well, you haven't seen the video of it. Had to put the door back in. It was hot. We've gotten back to about 90. I don't know what it hit today. 90 some degrees today, with our dew point up in like 67, 70, I think. Just that muggy hot, man. Just you start sweating. Cables came off. Tape that drum and run. Oh, that's funny. Matthew says, thanks for answering that. Yeah, those are what I was referring to. Yeah, the cable savers. We carry them. Like I said, it's always kind of a last ditch effort. They're kind of cumbersome. They normally don't fit in there good unless the track is wide. They grind. They scratch on the side. I've had them wear out. Get grooves in them, snap. Then it's like what's weird is like when they snap, they'll point out, or just kind of dangle or whatever they do. And it's like a nice, like a sharp spear waiting for an employee to like stab it through their arm. But like I said, will I still use them? Yeah, in certain circumstances, but I definitely don't rely on them as much as I used to. Because I'd run into situations like this and I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to fix the garage door to make it so. I never really realized how important the track, the verticals are, getting everything set up, and then also checking your top. And that's why if you can get a laser, you can do it with if you got something that's a straight edge of some sort, a piece of angle, maybe a pipe. That's pretty true. You could probably use a piece of wood if you can sight down it and it's pretty true, and use a level on top of that, especially an 8x7. That's a small door. So you can find something to stretch across that. Typically at home, you can do a tape measure from the header. If it's a true building, like a good brand new construction, you feel confident in who built it. It's not a leaner. You gotta check where something's going on with your distance or something probably. Also, it could be the spring. There's a lot of little things to look for. But I just never knew. I used to have cables come loose all the time. I still, even today, when we stacked a door today, commercial door, 12 by 14, first thing I do is when the door is up, it's like you're sitting there staring at the cables. Because I think once you've been burned so many times when the cable comes off, especially on bigger doors, boy, that's no fun. When the door, when the cable, especially when it wraps around the shaft, or if it gets ground down really hard, like with an opener or something, and then it's like permanently grooved like that, and you got to go up there and just like use your fingernails to get it out, and it's a nightmare. It's no fun. Nobody likes that kind of stuff. Oh, and by the way, if you guys wouldn't mind, if you're cruising through here, you're on here, don't forget, give it a like. It just helps wake up the algos, brings it to people's attention. I definitely appreciate it. And otherwise, like I said, keep the questions coming. We'll keep the party going. Rusty's got smiley. He's got some laughing face there. Tape trick never fails. You guys might have to fill me in a little bit on the tape trick. I don't think I know what the tape trick is. Are you talking like electrical tape around something? Fill me in on the joke. Ooh, I see. I just jumped down. I seen New Age. He says, I actually bought that bearing pusher thing. Do you like it? Dude, do you like it? That thing is sweet, man. I've banged out so many bearings over the years. Man, that thing is, it's a must have. It's a must have. Yeah, New Age says it's outstanding. Yeah, I love mine. Like, I don't know. It seems like over the years, I've come across so many different end bearing plates. And it's like you take them off, especially like the commercial ones. You take them off, you're like, what the hell is this? It's like, I've never seen this design. We ain't got this. I ain't gonna, what do you do? I've done it before when I was a greenhorn. It's like, oh well, I think maybe we got one either at the shop. So you run back to the shop, or you're on the back of your tailgate or your bumper, your van. You're smashing the old one out, and you're like, oh, well, that's okay. I got the old one out. Sweet. And then you maybe take a little file and groove it a little bigger, just a little bit, and then put the new one in with like a chunk of wood. It never goes in right. You bang it up. You kind of feel it with your fingers, right? You're like, it feels kind of grainy. It doesn't, it's better than what it was. The other one was on the, it's on the shaft, so it's better. Where that thing just pops it out, pops it in, no sweat. Absolutely love it. I wish I would have had it, 10, 15 years ago. What's it got? What's it got? Slip the cable. Says Rob's got you right. Not very likely on smaller doors. Yeah, it seems like everything, I forget the word, exacerbated, right? Like when it gets wider, I've always had more problems with 16x7s than I ever had a small door. You know what I mean? I think because it's something to do with that whole pitch. It grows, as you extend out. Could be wrong with that. Says slip the coupler, adjust cable length, re-level track. It's if it's really bad, I think this is a residential, so it's not going to have any couplers on it. It's just going to be a hollow shaft, from what I understand. That is nice though with commercial. You can kind of manipulate it with those adjustable center couplers. Love them. Got to make sure the bearings are not seized. That's true. And your drums are set correctly. Run the door by hand. See how it operates before running it with motor. Yep. And it sounds like he did disconnect it, so I'm proud of him for doing that. But yes, the bearings can be very tricky, and you got to watch that drum, right? And sometimes, so like some of those old doors, the flag brackets, or not the flag, the end bearing plates were never mounted to the wall. So some of them will like tip out, right? Like they're just sitting there independently. They'll tip, especially if it's a one spring system. And then that's why I kind of personally like 12-inch radius track, because you can take your end bearing plate and you can like slap it up there and pin it. You don't even have to have wood back there if you're going to blow it apart or anything like that. So I like that. But I've had it where I've cheated. I've been lazy, and it's like, I'm just not going to pin that or something on 15-inch radius. And I've had that bearing tip, and it's actually tipped enough where the drum will start grooving, or, it'll grind on there, and it might be just enough to lodge up something. So you really got to play detective and watch your bearings. My guess is it's going to be the track. So maybe Steve will get back to us or back to me and let me know, say, yeah, Dave, it was definitely the track, or something was off. It just throws me that it still even did it with the Torque Master, because I don't know why. The Torque Masters just don't, I just can't remember going to one. Not saying they can't, but I just can't remember going to one that I was like, oh my gosh, the cable's off. And I mean, I seen them before when I did them, before I knew to level the tracks out probably so much, and they'd be spooled up there kind of loose. And I was like, ooh, I was like, yeah, it's in a cover. It's okay. It's okay. Yeah, it's okay. And I'd like never get callbacks. And I don't know if it's because I had the outer case on it, so it kept it kind of, from popping off, or how they did it. I don't know how they did it, but I was like, these things are kind of somewhat idiot proof, because I'm the idiot. Drums are set correctly. Run the door by hand. See how it operates before running it with the motor. Yep. And sometimes, I mean, if you got to get really down and dirty on it, if you got to just even grab that J arm and have somebody watch it, or you got to pretend you're the opener, I mean, you can just do all kinds of things, because sometimes even yanking the bottom of the door is manipulating it differently than what it is with just up there by the J arm, or the opener would be pushing and pull it. All that stuff can add up. You know what I mean? So if you got to play really, really, really detective, get up there and act like you're the opener, hang onto that J bar, push the door, or push it from the top. Don't grab it at the bottom, because you might just be pulling it in a quarter, half an inch. It tightens things up a little bit. It's outstanding. Rusty says, tell him New Age. Midland once sent us 30 head plates with no bearings pressed in. Oh my gosh. 30. Man, that would be that time when I'm like, yeah, I'm not putting bearings in if I didn't have that tool. Let's do this. What's that guy here? Bearing blaster is the best tool ever bought. I haven't even got to use mine that much, but I tell you what, I agree. It's a very nice tool. It's like it just makes you go, I'm not even changing that end bearing. I'll do it right up here in the air. You know what I mean? When you're in a hot building and got the sweat running down you, or just resi and it's a hot, once you get 2 steps on the ladder, it's 20 degrees warmer up there. You're just like, watch this. I'll just change it out right here without just. I mean, I used to bang on those things. I mean, you're just up there looking like an animal, just beating on stuff. People coming out. Oh my gosh, I thought something fell down. Nope, it's fine. It's just me being an animal up here. Don't know what I'm doing. You know, knock something off the wall. Done that before, banging so hard, stuff. You hear something slap in the back of the garage. What the heck was that? Oh, I hope it wasn't important. Had to do it with a socket. Oh, okay. So I had to do a socket with a hammer. New Age says. Yeah, I wasn't even lucky enough. I didn't ever spend the time to figure it out. Like, oh, what socket will fit over here? You know what I mean? I waited a long time to even buy the tool. But then when I got it, I was like, yeah, you know what? Because I can't remember. Anybody remember what the price is on it? It seems like it's a little bit pricey where you're kind of like, I don't know. Like, I don't need it. I don't use it that much. But once you use it once, it's like, dude, I'll pay double. New Age says if you wrap a drum with electric tape, increases the diameter. Okay. Ever so slightly, keeps the cable slop. It's kind of hacky. I don't think I've ever done that. That's interesting. Thanks for sharing that. I guess if you just had to get yourself out of a pinch, you know what I mean? You had somebody that want to pay their service call bill or whatever, and you just you go, I can get it so it'll work for your holiday party. You know what I mean? But other than that, it ain't gonna last too long. Like, so that's pretty cool. I felt like maybe it was electrical tape or something. So that's pretty cool. Don't do that. Don't do that at home, kids. Rob, he's got a trick I learned is when swapping bearings, drill 2 holes in bearing plate seat bearing, and put 2 zip ties through the holes of the bearing. Hit it with a hammer. Let me think about this. A trick I learned is when swapping bearings, drill 2 holes in bearing plate seat bearing and put 2 zip ties through holes and bearing. Hit with a hammer. Oh. So you're kind of putting them on the opposite side, and that kind of helps suck them down. Okay. That's not a bad. Rob, do you got, what did he put up here? Who was the one? Rusty's got it. So Rob, do you have the bearing? Do you have the bearing blaster? I'm just curious. Because Rob, if you don't, come join the gang. Come do the doobies. You'll never go back, man. I mean, I'm just curious. Maybe that's what we should do, Rob. We should we gotta hook you up. Gotta find out which one. We need a few more likes. We need a few more likes, then we can get some more subscribers on here, and then we can take a few more dollars and we can donate to Rob. Because man, that thing is bad to the bone, Rob. I'm telling you. You and Uncle Dave don't get you one, man. You got to get one. Who's texting me? Who's my 608? You on here? You watching me? I won't read it. Oh, man. Might have to do a refill on that puppy. Don't worry. I brung Bubba. We got Wes. Bubba. Bubba's here. He's full. He's ready to go. That's pretty cool, though. With zip ties. My luck, I'd break them when I hit them with a hammer and stuff. I'd be snapping them. God darn, that was a good zip tie, too. What's you got here? Rusty says, Dave, it's 9 o'clock Eastern time, and I have a customer texting me pictures of broken spring for tomorrow. Do you ever give certain customers your cell phone number? So that's a good one, Rusty. I appreciate the question. So, what we do is we don't do residential ones. Residential ones normally they don't ever get our personal number. Like they have to call the business line. Our commercial customers, depending on basically like who's their salesperson, they will get their direct phone number. For the most part, they also will sometimes call the secretary, depending on the situations. Our commercial customers are really very understanding. You know what I mean? So uh, they work like very common sense and very intelligent people. And so, but they get our number because they can call us direct. And since we're on the premises most time, and a lot of our commercial customers have 3 to 8 different locations. So when they tell us a city and they say it's this gate number 3 or the one that you worked on a couple weeks ago, do you remember I was there, blah blah blah, it resonates so much easier. And most of the time our commercial guys, they don't want to mess around. It's nothing against our secretaries. It's just they don't know the stuff that we know because we're the ones that are living and breathing every day. But residential, it depends. Rusty, I think your scale is a little different. You got you and I think another guy or so, whatever. You're a little more direct. So I don't know if it's such a bad thing. It's just that sometimes the resis can just like they don't know how to turn it off. I think of it as like I kind of see. Oh, we got 8 likes too. Thanks for the likes, guys. Don't forget to hit the like button if you're just cruising through. But I think of it as like real estate agents. You know what I mean? Real estate agents really, I think, have to kiss butt. You know what I mean? They got to be all certain different hours. And I don't know. I was never one. I follow and I've bought real estate and stuff. And I just, you know, I, I just don't like that. When it comes to resi, they just don't seem like they have a filter, is what I'm getting at. Where like they go, oh man, it's kind of, a poor guy's probably eating dinner with his kids, or he's sitting down with a beer in his hand, and he's probably watching the game or something or whatever, watching TV, or they just don't seem like they have that filter. And then it's like it can kind of drag on, and then there's like a point where it's like, where do you cut it off? Because there's just some nights, because now they get used to it, and then they maybe 2 nights later or something, they message you and they're like, hello, how that goes, right? The hello, are you there? And then you have to come back and be like, oh, I'm sorry, like they're like, don't worry about it, I found somebody else. And you're like, oh, thanks for wasting 3 minutes of my life. But it is nice at least get pictures. Dun, dun, dun. New Age says you should be proud if you never done it. Yeah, okay, all right. Well, thanks for fluffing my feathers. You know what I mean? I kind of feel like more like I'm bummed that I didn't think of it, right? The jack of all trades. You know what I mean? Like I just like, dang, I didn't think of that. Like I didn't think about the way to sneak out of it. The easy way. Because it was always weird to me on cables. Correct me if I'm wrong on this too. This is only from a kind of a guy that was, done, grown a really successful business. But I always used to think they used to give you those, what am I trying to call them? They're at the end of the cables, the swedges. They're called something. I can't think of it right now, but the swedges for the end, right? But they give you 2 of them. And, the one would be crimped. Another one would slide up and down the cable. And so my brain, when I was starting out, because we didn't have the YouTube University and all these things, I used to think, oh, that swedge is for you. Like, I don't know how I'm going to hook it in, but it's there for you to, like when your cable's sloppy like that, like your cable's loose. Oh, I know now. You pull that little swedge up from the bottom, right? You filter it through with your hands, through the track and everything, get it up there, and you got to dump the spring. So have somebody back wind it for you, whatever, and you gotta get that in the groove, and that's going to tighten that cable up. because I'm sure some of you have probably done what I've done, and it's turned into, like, I've I've done it, right? When the door was up, and you're like, that cable's loose, son of a gun. So you take your wrench or whatever and you tighten it up, and you're like, "Eh," and you're like, yeah, I fixed that. Yeah, I'm the man. Yeah, I got this. And then like you bring the door back down, you're like, what the fudge, man? The door's crooked and there's light showing now. Well, crap, I can't do that. So you go back and now you're like sitting there like, what the hell's the problem here? Why is this doing this? The other door didn't do this. No, you didn't know the track was off. I didn't know the track was off. I just never knew that. But now I pay attention to it. Get my laser out. What we got here? What we got? Says I'll send you a picture when I do one next. Rob, is that the zip ties? Or are we talking about electrical tape? I'm assuming you're talking about the zip ties. I'm gonna be fighting for you, brother. Rob, we got to get you the bearing blaster. It's just a must, man. It's like living life without like winding bars and using like rebar or something. You know what I mean? Or how should I say it? It's like using a rock instead of a hammer. It's just amazing how easy it works. Ever heard of tell me. Tony's in the house. Tony, I got some beef with Tony. Tony never messaged me back. Tony, where do we find this opener? Where's this opener we were talking about? How much was that opener again? $149 for a Chamberlain, 2 remotes, keypad. Come on, Tony. He sent me a picture. He doesn't tell me where he's finding these deals. Rob says, I never even heard of a bearing blaster. Oh my, you got to look it up, brother. I'm telling you. I am telling you, it's like using a handsaw going to a chainsaw. It is just amazing. Service Spring got it. Who else has got it? Anybody else using any other? Who's that? Who's the other one? Is that one company still around? Right, that used to have the big muscle guy that had. I forget what that magazine's called. Put it in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. It's got the guy with the glasses. He looks like Stretch Armstrong kind of. He's got pointy hair. He's always like this. He's got his big arms in there. I forget what that magazine or what that company's name is. It's not. It's evading me. Okay, well, whatever that says. Just checking things out. What's up, Tony? That's right. Tony's on here. It says I never heard of that. Let's see. So it depends on the customer. That's what Rich got. What's up, Rich? Hope you're doing good. I seen you sent me a message. You must have a picture of something going on. To help with the cables twisting. The door opens and closes. As the door opens and closes. Are we talking about those little swedges? Those little swedges, from what I was told, the loose ones, they're not crimped at the very end, right? When you hook it into the drum, those are actually just supposed to go on right from the get-go. All it is to give you a bigger surface area, because you know how if you crimp the cable, it smashes it, and sometimes if you hook it in a drum, it can almost kind of pop out, like it doesn't sit in there nice. This is from what I've been told and taught. So put your more welcome to add your 2 cents, but that's that loose one is so it has a better surface area to catch in the drum. I didn't know that. I thought it was a shim. I was like, oh, look, they gave us a shim. And I put it in there and that didn't work. What I do have a question for, though, since we got some fine people here. Oh, hey, we got up to 9 likes. Thank you for the likes, you guys. Like I said, hit the like button. Doesn't cost you anything. I can't track you. The government will not find you. I promise you. If they do, come to me. I'll bail you out. But what I have a question that just been kind of running through my brain a little bit. I swear I thought Amar did this. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong. Is anybody a true believer in that whole theory on garage door cables about having a left hand and having a right hand. And what I kind of mean by that is like the way that they're spun. Some people have a theory that the way they travel on those drums, that's why some cables. Now I'm going to confess that on commercial ones, I've had a lot of cables that have come spun, like they look like they've been spun, and they'll start fraying and breaking. So I'd like to hear your guys' opinion, or if this is true, or what's your trick of doing it. Like, do you look at the cable and go, okay, everything pointing, counterclockwise has got to go on the left, or if you got any tricks, or you're like, you know what, I buy them from Service Spring, or I buy them from, or it's just Amar that does it, or it's not really that big a deal, or I've tried it, I've tried it for a few months or a year or whatever, and there was really no difference. But there was only one manufacturer I remember that would actually send it, and they'd actually put on there was like a left hand and right hand. And I thought, is there any theory? And I've come across a lot of not residential so much. It's more the commercial that will spin them where they expand out. You've seen it, right? And there's only like 2 or 3 cables in there. It's really holding the whole load. And it's like, whoa, and so you put a new set of cables on there and away you go. And you just Merry Christmas, and don't know what really caused it. Must have been a fray on the door. Must have been a fray in the drum, just old age. I don't know. Do. New Age, she says, prevents snarls. Them. What's up? Depends on customer to help with the cables twisting as door opens and closes. Oh. So are you saying, New Age, are you saying that swedge is letting that cable kind of pivot? Is that where you're kind of going with that? Never really thought about it that way. Okay, prevent snarls. New Age has got, sometimes you need a left lay. Man, you got all these terminologies. Where are you coming from? Where are you from? The left lay. Are you talking like the cable for how it's gonna, for certain, Oh, we got Kevin in the house. What's up, Kevin? Tony, did you get that maximum figured out? Oh man, don't easy. Tony's a little, he's like that little cartoon. Was it like Emotions or something? The kids would know what the name is of it, but a cartoon, that little mean dude where his hair he goes and it's all fire coming out. That's why I see a Tony right now. We had a little conversation behind the scenes. Let's see here. Tony says, I can't share all my secrets. I love it. Dang, Rob said I looked him up. It said $160. That sounds probably about right on the Service Spring book in front of me. But like I said, I'm always like, ouch. Every time I see that, I'm like even that, I'm like $160. I'm like, don't do it. But I'm like, no, do it. Do it. Buy it. Hit the cart button, because it's like using a ladder compared to a scissor lift. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. I apologize. I think this thing's got ads on it or something's going on. I see something popping over here. I don't know what's going on. I looked them up. Pieces. Atlas. Charles. Rob's got something on there. Rusty. I bought my bearing blaster. I'm assuming that's direct from Service Spring. That's where I got mine. Tony says, you talking about the Chamberlain with the keypad, 2 remotes, belt drive, battery backup for $149? Yes, Tony, that is what I'm talking about. I sent you that message, but you never replied back. I was trying to figure out, because obviously it looked like some kind of like ad paper. So I was like, is that Menards? Is that Walmart? Walmart selling garage doors? Does Walmart sell garage door openers? I don't think they do. Best Buy. I don't think Best Buy sells them either. Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot. I seen a TV above it, so that's what threw me. Maybe Sam's or Costco. I don't think Costco does. Sam's, maybe. I don't know. Where's the craziest place you bought garage door opener? Where's the craziest place you can buy in that I wouldn't think of? Robbie says, oh, I thought extra piece on the cable was in case you needed to shorten cables. Was on there ready for agree with you on cables where you place a lot more left cables on commercial. You know what? I was just thinking about that too. My brain was like, I feel like it's on the left side. So that's pretty interesting. But no, as far as I know, like I said, kind of correct me if I'm wrong. I think New Age is kind of leaning towards this, is what he was kind of that when you put it in that nice perfect swedge, right? It has room to maybe rotate a little bit. But I was just told I had a bigger surface area, so it clipped in the drum nicer. Because I've had some that I've swedged myself before too, and like you go to put them in the drum, and it's like they're kind of crooked, or obviously they're pinned real hard, right? Because they're flattened a little bit and they just gouge right into the drum. So they residential don't seem like it's always not that big a deal, but the commercial ones, I've had commercial ones where it's like I ain't screwing around with this. Like I always put an extra on there. What I do, maybe some of you do it too, is I put a little piece of tape on there. So that darn thing, because is it annoying when that puppy falls and hits the bottom when you're up in a lift or something? So I put a little electrical tape on there just to keep it from sliding down on me. And then sometimes electrical tape just finds its way in the drum. I don't care because it's just a piece of little electrical tape. It's just there to keep it from sliding down, causing nightmares. But anytime I swedge them, especially commercial, I always put an extra swedge on there to have that bigger surface area. I found out the commercial drums are just goofier. Residential, I haven't had such a big problem. Dang, we're up to 9 likes. Ooh, we might hit 10 before the night ends. Tony says, yeah, Kevin went back today. He says you don't want to hang a maximum on an old door. They're too finicky. Yep, I was telling Cap about that today. We were putting up a T50 from 2000. What year? I think that was 2019. And I was like kind of holding it, rubbing it, talking to it. I'm like, you're a dinosaur. Cap's up there. He's like, yeah. He's like, you can't get those anymore. And I'm just like, little tear coming out of my eye. Be quiet. This is a moment I'm having right here. You know what I mean? I'm bummed. I am bummed. But I did finally ask Cap. I told him, I said, on the Genies, on the more their better line, I said, have you ever replaced a circuit board in one on the commercial side? And he goes, no. He goes, I can't say I ever have. And I said, what's funny? Because I said, I don't remember ever changing a circuit board in a Genie. So what I wanted to kind of do is I wanted to kind of bring that up for Tony. So I'm going to tell Tony now. Don't have to text him. I love texting Tony. He's a good dude. But I told Tony about the Power Master. I said, maybe you got to look at Power Master. And, but I also think the Genies, we've had good luck. They're a little goofy to get used to. I mean, I still would rather program an older style Lift Master or a Power Master. I like the mechanical limits. They're simple, but let me get this. Boom. And, but when you can kind of set something to be done. Now, the Genies where they scare me is if you're going to power them, like you program them. This is just my theory. They feel like they want to be programmed and set for a while, like almost like a day or two. I'd like them to have power on them. And then they're okay. It seems like if you unplug them for a little while, but like new construction, they get me a little nervous where it's like we just hook them up and we hook them up on a dirty power. They don't seem like they like that dirty power. They'll work sometimes, or they'll freak out and just tell you right away they got a brownout. They'll tell you like the voltage isn't good. But I've had it where it feels like they've lost their limits a little bit. But if you can go there and set them, you know what I mean? They're just done. So you don't buy the middle ones like an MT. It's I forget what they call theirs or something, but you buy like the T, you buy the J. One day I'll get the models. Kevin, he says, I went back today. Rusty says, never heard left or right cables. Just made sure they are not twisted when setting the drums. Yeah, I think there is something about left and right hand a little bit, or maybe you just flip it. You use the same cable, you flip it. I think there's a theory out there of something. I know there was one manufacturer. I feel like it was Amar, that when you get their commercial doors, they'd have like, it'd be taped. It'd be kind of like, here's a left hand, here's a right hand, and it was like, It always made me like ask the guys, like, you think there's a theory behind this? Now, I've never gone back and seen them in 5 or 10 years, and it was like, oh, it's always this manufacturer, and oh, look at the cables are still good. But I've had a lot of them, and it does seem like, now I think about more on the left side, because it seems like it's frayed on there. So I don't know. I don't know if it's something like when you're stretching your cable, you got to kind of spin it and flip it. I don't know if that would make a difference, because you think about it, when it's rolling on that drum, right? You think about how it's kind of curling, it's kind of going on that drum. Maybe it's doing something. It's one of those things, you're always like, speed is key. So you're always just running through it. That's how we are. I mean, it's like, it's left hand, right hand. I don't know. Just make the cables. So you gotta go. These ones rusted out. These ones are twisted. I don't know why. There's a fray right here in the panel. I think it's catching right here. It caught. That's what caused it. I've had them just in the, I've seen them a lot, even at the drums, right at the drums, like they'll expand out. And it's like, what the heck? I mean, it's cool looking. It almost looks like a little piece of art, I mean, how it's, but it's not right. Rusty says, the money you spend on the bearing blaster, you make more efficient on every job. And in turn, means more money. That is all true. That is all true. Tony says Costco starts Wednesday. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, because those bearing blasters, I can't say enough about it. So I mean, I'm just like, I would have no doubt, like, Rob, get yourself one. Don't be afraid to buy it. If you don't want it, you don't like it, I'll buy it from you. I'll buy it for you, which already got shipping, whatever you pay, I'll buy it from you. Because I know a couple of the service vehicles could use it, because I think I got one. Maybe Cap's got one too. I can't remember for sure. But man, I used one down. I feel like I used one down when I was hanging out with Josh. And man, I was just sitting there, and I was like, "You ever see this?" He's like, "No," and I'm like, "Watch this." And it was so smooth, so smooth. It's like if you work on a car, and if you try to ever beat something out, and you don't have a press, and then you go to your buddies, or you take it into a mechanic shop and they got a press, and you're just like, I've worked 3 hours on that thing, and you just pressed it out in 10 minutes. That was the best 10 minutes of my life. And so it's kind of one of those. Dun, 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 dun. Costco, Tony says, starts Wednesday. You got a Costco close to you, Tony? We got one that's going to get built over by the shop, and it's not built yet. I don't even think they maybe have been breaking ground, but otherwise we got one from the shop. It's probably, how far is that? It's probably a good hour and 15 minutes one way. But man, I wish we could kind of like share pictures on here. It was pretty cool. I mean, 2 remotes, battery backup. It's a little snub nose. So I think Cap was saying that everything now LiftMaster has Wi-Fi built into it. But great price. Great price. I mean, I was like, dude, hook me up. $149. Outside keypad, battery backup, 2 remotes. I mean, you can just chuck those puppies right back in a box if they don't work. Take them right back and grab yourself 3 more. I mean, that's amazing. Now, I think Rich, did I say hi to Rich? I think Rich, I know you're here. Rich, I hope you're doing good. I feel like Rich, he commented on a video. I mean, he was talking about, now, I didn't know they did this, but he was talking about something if you buy 4 You buy 4 or more, they give you a discount. And I'm thinking, man, Rob, I don't know if Rob, if you, I'm sorry, Rich, not Rob. I get switched up here. Rich B. Gotta do Rich B. Rich B. Rich B. You were talking about if you buy 4 or more, they give you some kind of discount. I was just kind of more thinking, do they really do that? Because I'm thinking they're already so low on price. Like, can they even do that? Will they do that? Has anybody else done that? Rich, have you done it? I mean, it's cool. I mean, what we talking like $10 a unit, 20? I mean, anybody just have any numbers? Can't beat the box stores, man. I'm telling you. They always got the best. I'm not saying they got the best quality or whatever, but I'm just saying the prices are you just can't beat their darn prices. Tony says, "Oh yes, Dave, very sad day knowing that new operators, you can't just give it a little more clutch and go." I know. I know. That is a bummer. It really is. Rich says, I think I saw that in the Costco flyer. That's where it's at. I don't think I get maybe because we don't have one around or we got to subscribe to it. Probably because we don't get a membership. We don't have that. But man, could not believe it. Let me see if it'll show up here without exposing Tony here. I'll save it. There we go. Let's see if we can go to our pictures here, maybe. We go back to wherever our library is. That's not it. That was me playing around with the kiddo. Let's see here. Pictures for you, library. I downloaded it, but of course it's an Apple, so it goes to wherever it was back in the agenda. Here it is. Bada bing, bada boom. I think it's all clean. Clean for you. Except this camera always just horrible. Look at that. Probably keep some of the costs down. 2 remotes, a little basically almost like doorbell. I know it's got the little circuit board probably in it. Keypad, battery backup, belt drive. It's got the photo eyes, phone not included. I gave Tony crap about that. I love that they got to put on there. Phone not included. $149 says after $50 off. Huh. Still, that's crazy, man. Tony says, that's right, Rich B. You gotta get them online. Okay. I did the math. If you would tear one down, you got 371 worth of good parts. It says, oh yeah. It says buy all my gas there. Oh, at Costco? Nice. Gotcha. All of it. No, that's pretty cool. Like I said, it's kind of one of those things. I just think sometimes, some of the guys, even some of the seasoned vets, I even consider it. I don't think they've really pushed the button yet, but like I said, these openers are they're getting so wild. I'm so disappointed in where the openers have gone. I did have somebody that was nice enough. They commented about the Morantecs, that those have been pretty solid for them. I was kind of hoping to find like another manufacturer that I didn't hear of, because what do we got? Like the Somber, we got Morantec, we got Lanier, we got Liftmaster. Like I was hoping to find a smaller one out there, a smaller company. It's just building some good, true residential openers that I could promote, that I'd like to try out for myself before I even talk about them, honestly, because, and even if they cost a little more, that's fine. I feel like it's like a race to the bottom right now. And I might as well go to the box store and I get better service. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to take it back and I'm just going to go, here, it's junk. And I'm going to get just some person at the front desk that's going to have no clue, not care. And they're just going to go, okay, like, do you want a refund? Or do you want to like just go get another one? And you're like, I'll just go get another one. Or so that might be a little tricky online. There might be a little caveat to that. That might be a little kicker if you got to order them offline, or how does that work? You know what I mean? But that customer service behind the scenes is really what I'm concerned about. I'm so disappointed that, I've had over the years, when I was always growing up, my there was so many things my mom would, purchase of some sort, right? Like maybe like a rainbow. Who had a rainbow vacuum cleaner? Oh, with the water, the scuzzy water, it collected all the dirt. Everybody had a rainbow, right? And so the rainbow, but like, I mean, you had certain manufacturers that would just, I mean, would not hesitate to send you a new part out, like free of charge. Like you're having a problem, we're sorry to hear that. We'll send you out a part tomorrow. And sometimes they send two, and it was always like, this company sent me two. You can have one for your vacuum or your part or your fridge or whatever. I don't know why they sent me two. But now it's like, we'll send you parts. Just wait. You go there. They misdiagnosed it. You misdiagnosed it. Whatever the case may be. I'm just so sick of these residential openers. It's like, throw them away. Just, you got a problem. Tear the head unit down. Whatever. Put another head unit up and try again. The Bic lighter is what I call it. The Bic lighter theory. The Bic lighter ran out of fuel. The Bic lighter sparker things. Throw it away. Go to the gas station. Get another one right by the front desk there. Their cash register. Grab another one. Go back. Start your fire. Smoke a cigar, whatever it is, and move on, because just problems after problems. Anybody have problems with the LED lights lately? We had one that stumped one of the guys pretty bad. Customer put an LED and it blocked, I guess, the radio on it pretty hardcore, the remote, and it went through tech support. Basically like made 3 trips until he figured out it was that. It could have been the circuit board on the last trip, but even when you put another circuit board in, you know what I mean, and it doesn't work, and it's like, okay, what did you change on this customer? And the customer goes, oh, I did this, put a light bulb in, and well, this was what caused it. I said, oh yeah. Tony says, remember Dave? He says the big box stores motherboard is only warranted for 1 year, where LiftMaster is 3-year warranty. Now, who was it? The one that commented on the video? Somebody gave me some great information. I got to share this if I can find it. I did not know this. I think this is worth sharing. Let me find it. I appreciate it. I got a couple of texts from you guys. I might get back with you later tonight, or it might be tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Where are you, Mr. Screen thing here? Okay, we got that. This was regarding the Genie openers. Here it is. I don't hear from this guy that much. This was from someone I kind of want to give him a shout out here. It's at GSXR 600 RAFII. And he commented on that video I was talking about, another Genie opener died or dead or whatever. I'm still waiting for somebody. We need to come up with a name for the Genies, right? Like I put on there like the Ford, right? Ford, found on road dead. I don't know what if Chevy has one. I always just remember Chevy was, Chevy, was ashes to ashes, dust to dust. If it wasn't for my Chevy, my tools would rust. But I was thinking more something for like, I started with like Genie enough, and I couldn't come up with, I didn't put any more thought into it. But anyways, on this Genie, he said, Dave, he says the black cover models on these Genie openers, he says the black cover models are 24-volt systems. He says it's the models like the 650, 850, etc., even the sideway ones. He says the 140-volt models are completely different internally. He says the screwdriver one that you like are 140-volt. I don't know why he's doing the 140-volt. I don't know if that's what they call it. If that's basic, we're talking like 115, AC versus DC here. He says basically any case that looks like the newer screw drives, whether it's chain, belt, screw, he says, are all different internally than others. He says also Genie requires good clean power. I don't doubt that. He says they don't like power fluctuations at all. He says, in my opinion, that's in my opinion, isn't a bad thing. He says you should have good power in your house/shop. Also, he says the 140-volt models have a minimum of 5-year warranty on all parts versus the 1 year on the 24-volt models. Interesting. I thought that was a very, very good comment. It was very helpful. Dun, dun, dun. So I didn't know that. I did not know that. But I just always remember the gray, the slight bluish ones. I've never seen like I've had problems. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like I've never had as many problems. But like the black ones, man, I've had a lot of problems with the black ones. Anytime I've had the black covered ones, I'm always like, oh, I'm like, here's going to be the red light of death. It's going to have some weird glitch to it. It's just, something's going to be wrong. So I just wanted to bring that up because the fact that Tony was saying LiftMaster is a 3-year might be something to consider if you like the warranty stuff. Hey, Genie's, the one unit's got 1 year, the other one's got a 5-year. Yeah, something to think about. So for LiftMaster warranty claims on residential parts, we just use parts out of our stock to fix the job that day and then file a LiftMaster claim, and they'll ship us the parts directly that we use. That's not a bad way at all. You know what I mean? That's a great way. It's just for us, with multiple service vehicles, our vehicles don't carry circuit boards in that very well. You'd have to put them in like a gun case. I don't know if I can say that word. Appreciate it, guys. I got 11 likes. Wow. And then there's different models and stuff and different years. I think one of them worked on a 16. I almost feel like I'm getting to the point where it's like what they need to do is they just replace them. We don't work on them. We just replace them. We're sorry. The problem is we're backing up. We got a lot of commercial stuff that's got to get done, and it's going to start ramping up. We're gonna start hitting that time of the year where things are going to start snowballing. LiftMaster. It says Kevin's guy says I had a call back on that barrier gate I installed the other day. Froze up. He says reset it. Ran down, stuck. Was real jerky. Come to find out, LiftMaster didn't put any gear oil. Ooh, dang! In the gearbox. Wow, man, that is a bummer. To add to that a little bit, so they all kind of got their faults, right? I like my Lanier Nortec gate operators and stuff. To add to that a little bit, I noticed on their limits, the nylon limits that run, that's their the limit nuts. Sometimes they don't put oil on those things. They don't put any spray lube or anything. And right out of the gate, I've had them before where it started like gnawing those things away. And then all of a sudden the limits get off and the gate's acting funny. It'll over travel. This is like on a slide gate, more or less. So I always spray it a little bit with a little, oil of some sort just to keep it lubed. But that's a bummer. I mean, that's something you normally, I don't think, check. Maybe they're trying to, make it so that stuff can't spill. I know some of the Lanier ones, they'd have like a little plug you pull out. Like it says when you put it in use, pull this out. I think it's because obviously if you tip it over, they ship it upside down, that the oil doesn't leak out of it. So that's a real bummer. That's something else now you got to kind of pay attention to. You know what I mean? It's just another step. You got to, quality control at its finest, right? A lot of these places, people don't care. There's so much lack of quality control anymore, or people, we just don't have those guys in those shops anymore. I go to a lot of machine shops too and stuff, and I don't go there anymore. And you see a guy leaning against a machine and he's got that thing so dialed in, he could basically take a nap for an hour or two before he has to change a part or do something. You just don't got those guys with the bibs on that been there, and I've been here 20 years. You know what I mean? It's just chaos, Rich is gone. He says, Dave, the good old days, not no more. That is the truth. That is the truth. I'm like I said, that's why I'm kind of thinking like we need to vote with our dollars. And that's why I'm like, I'd like to find somebody out there. I know Eric, I don't think he's on Eric Freeze. I think he's always talking about trying to build something for an opener. And I hope he does. One day. I hope it works out good for him. I hope he makes millions, because I tell you what, if I had another option, I would definitely be pointing people in that direction because this stuff has just gotten to the point where it's got so much technology built on it that we can't even do the core function anymore. It's like we've gone to the Tesla, and we need some of us still need a pickup truck, with a tailgate, and real 4-wheel drive and the mud tires, and this stuff is just it's just not holding up, and I'm seeing it on both sides. It's really nobody's perfect. It's just a matter of who gives you the best service and what do you want to keep and what do you want to stock up on parts and all that kind of stuff. So but it's getting tough, especially when you try to expand. It's not a big deal if you're a one-man band or maybe a two-man band, and you got really two good guys, or you're both motivated, or you always want the best. But when you start adding employees, it gets really difficult because you know, I don't know. I don't want to say it's like they don't care. It's just they don't quite understand the magnitude of, like, if you don't get this done or make a good decision right from the get go to recommend to this customer, like, we should just replace this. That's all we can do for you. And the power to be kind of say no and walk away and say, you're probably better off calling somebody else. This is not a good situation. And there's so many things that lead up to that. Did the secretary get pictures? Did she get good notes? Did she quite understand? Did she make sure the customer was clear that, we're going to probably have to replace it? Did she let the technician know, hey, make sure you bring an opener with? They already been, notified. I know Cap was talking about one, I think they lost. He made it very clear, and he knows the stuff very, very well, that he told them that they're talking as a travel limiter or something like that. I had to replace in a LiftMaster, I think it was. It made it very clear that once this is purchased and once this is installed, there is no warranty on this. Like, you are paying for this regardless. Now, I don't think this is the problem. This is what LiftMaster is recommending. If we do this and this still doesn't work, you're out that $70 or whatever, But somehow in the scheme of things, the customer decided to do an opener. They were not charged that $70. So that's money that ate into the profit. Just something happened where it's like, you know what, right from the get-go, Cap said, hey, you know what, I should have told her right away. You need to replace an opener. That's all we can do. It's like you got to kind of lead that horse to water. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't, especially with openers. The problem is they're not big ticket items. We're not talking about big garage doors, and we're not talking about roofs, with lots of money built into it. We're talking about stuff that costs, we get an opener for $149. You ain't got a lot of margin there to work with. So by the time you make a trip or two or three, you're kind of done. Jeannie Gage never imagine excellence or something like that. Never. Just remind me of Rusty when I said the Gay, because Gay was one of the ladies that works in the commercial department, and she was always she's really smart. I hope she's still working there. I hope she's doing well. She was always a very nice lady. So it just made me think of that. I don't think that's what he's saying, but Tony says, true that, Rich B. 14. Oh man, I guess you are showing. I'm showing 14. You know how it is. Sometimes they jip me. They don't tell me what you guys are. Oh, it says they got it. They got that one. Box stores and units have a lifetime warranty. I think where Rich is going with this is a lifetime warranty. Like, was it Peter? I think it was Peter that we had the question on. And Peter, and we discussed about just, he said, well, I'm out of the 90 days. And I said, well, if they still sell that opener, I said, go buy another one. I said, and stuff that one in the box. And what I would do is I would not use my ID that time, because sometimes I think you get like 3 strikes and then you're kind of out type of thing or something like that. But they typically don't whack you too either. Sometimes if it's an in-store credit, it's when you want your money back. They don't like that. You know what I mean? But the in-store credit, they kind of, yeah. But what I would do is I'd go in there and say, hey, I got the box here. You can scan it. It's going to show in their system it was purchased, blah, blah, blah. Maybe pay cash. I don't know. You guys can comment what you think the best way is. Purchase it cash, take it back to the house, whatever, throw your stuff. Hey, if you wanted a couple extra openers, I'm not telling you what to do, but maybe one slipped out of the box when you're putting it back of the car. You get, because that stuff thing probably, it goes stuffy stuff in a box, the old one. You take it back, you get in-store credit, you can go buy whatever toilet bowl cleaner, Windex, I don't know. And, now you got your money back at least. You got another opener and it's c'est la vie. And you got one that's you got to use the other one for a while and got some wear and tear on it. Now you got a new one and hope to goodness maybe if anybody's got like they truly believe in like a certain surge protector that they use, either text me or email me or put it in the comments here. Because I don't really know a good one. We buy cheap ones. We never been on a trend where it's like, wow, we went to 3 houses and the other 3 that down the subdivision, those ones got wiped out, but these ones didn't, because they had the surge protector. Wow, it worked. It's always kind of a mystery to me. Like, do they work? Do they really work? They don't work. Better than nothing, but Tony's guy. So I'm not buying that he says they don't want to give customers a circuit board after 12 months till I got on the phone. He says they decided to send one that I learned they only had a year warranty. Yeah, it's kind of weird, I think at these box stores too, what they're getting onto is that's why they change these models over so much. I think they even changed models and stuff like that because they want to, after 5 years, they don't want you doing that trickery to them. And they also just go, we don't sell that anymore. So, but we got this new one right here for $199 you could buy. And, the person's already overwhelmed. They've dealt with everything. They're trying to save money and they're like, whatever, I'll just go buy another one. The heck with this, have my buddy come over, install over the weekend. Tony's guy, he says, Traveler modular. Thank you, Tony. That is what it was. And Cap said, my instinct was it was a circuit board, but that's what they deemed. I don't know what these tech supports. I mean, I'm not trying to pick on the tech supports, but like I feel like they're going down the wrong holes because I ain't gonna lie. Probably the technicians are putting too much faith in them, but you would think that when they're going through with it on the phone, they would have a certain 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the circuit board, or it's going to be this, or this is only, you know what I mean? And I cannot tell you how many times, because it's almost like you got to get their blessings that we get parts. I had a Gene that was kind of far away from the shop. I remember I went up there like 3 times with different parts, and I was like, screw this. I said, I will tear this freaking head unit out and I will put up another one. I'm not dealing with this. I'll deal with it on the bench at the shop. It just didn't work. I just said, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep having the customer, wait. It's just easier to tear the head unit off. It's just easier to tear the head unit off, plug that puppy in, hook it to the Traveler, the track or whatever, the trolley, and move on, But the problem is when you got that opener head. Now, what do you do with it? Are you really going to take it back to the shop and do the whole diagnosing? And then are you going to call for tech support? Hell no. You're going to go home for the day. You're going to clean your truck out and make sure it's ready to go for the next day, load up, whatever. You know what I mean? You're going to call, get an RGA. They're going to send you parts. You're going to rebuild this thing. You're going to kind of stuff it back in a box. What box? You got to hook it up with a rail. The time is gone. You know what I mean? You're better off just taking it back to a box store and go, here, this piece of junk don't work, and they can stuff it back in there however it needs to be or whatever to make it look pretty. That's just my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Rusty's guy, he says, plenty of margins and openers if you price right. Yes, there can be if you price right. Just replace them. Replace them all. I always learned it from my my landscaper buddy. He's like, man, I just don't understand, and it's like, it's like my one buddy, right? His lowest, his ticket was always like $10,000. I can't install openers for $10,000. You know what I mean? So it's the margins. And that's why like for us, we've always had really good luck with fencing primo. And I tell you what, I love fencing. I can't think of The only one I can think of is a fence job that we put slats in, and the wind caught it, and we didn't have strong enough ties. We remedied that with our steel ties, but I just I know most of you guys don't do fencing, but it's the best money. At least besides like when I did roofing, I had a roofing business. The roofing was very stressful. The guys, everything, is it going to rain? It's not going to rain. It's a lot of money, but it's hard on your body too, and it's good margin. You know what I mean? But openers get to be because my brother-in-law just told me this too. He does the flooring and stuff, epoxies and stuff. And he's talking to his buddy, and his buddies, I think they're doing like whatever, 20 or something. Let's just say we'll just use that number, 20K or something a month. But the guy that his buddy, whatever, he's doing double, right? And so it's one of those things, and he's like, I'm doing half. And he's like, so that's another half that guy's touching that could turn into warranty calls or problems. And I'm like, uh-huh. It's like you're using the old noggin. That's it. It's not about sometimes about the speed and how many can you do and how many fast and blah 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 blah. It's how can you get more bang for your buck out of it, charge maybe a little more, and that's also kind of why I like the box stores because you're never going to get burned in a sense, right? You could get stuck with these openers if you change head units out. But if you got the store on your side that you're going to take it back to on your way home or whatever, and warranty it out. Not your problem anymore. But I've had them where they sit at the shop, they get piled up. Finally, one day you just have an explosion. You're like, whatever, man, these things just need to go. They're taking up room. I'm not a storage facility. They're taking up, a 20 by 20 area in my shop. They got to go chuck them in the scrap hopper. You know what I mean? I don't got time to throw them on eBay, Marketplace, whatever, Craigslist. Just they got to go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what's wrong with this one. I'm not going to call. I'm not going to fire it up. But if they, that the thing is like, to me, that's like $200. Those are $200 in each. And you're like, well, there's, $6, $12, $2,000 that you just, that's just my brain. Tony says, tell Cap he needs to go to Costco, pick up a bunch of those openers. He says they have the trailer modular. He says modulars on them and get a bunch of them put on the shelf. It's funny because Tony actually was breaking it down, what he's seen in parts in these things. And he had a pretty good theory on it, about like, if I break this down, what these would, and that's the world we're living in now, right? I mean, we don't live in repair stuff anymore. It's just replace it, right? It's even like it feels like it's in with garage doors too, right? It's more than on a residential 2-section. Scrap it, man. Just put a whole new door up, put new weather seal. They match. They get new springs, they get new bearings, they get new rollers. It's just like, and it kind of stinks because I look at it and I go, sometimes I go, I don't want to do it. You know what I mean? It's almost like more work, but it's the right thing to do. You know what I mean? Because now, you're not going to put 2 panels on. They're going to come and go, one's shinier than the other. Can you do something about that? And you're like, no, I can't, and they're like, well, but I spent, $400, $600, $800 on this or $1,200. And you're like, yeah, you did, where you just do a whole new package deal and it's done. You know what I mean? They get new weather seal because the chipmunk chewed the other one. It's just done. Everything's clean. It's new. And the manufacturers like doing that, right? You have to get systems. They charge you, they rake you over the coals. They take longer sometimes, to get you the sections. I don't know if I'm assuming that's sped up now since after COVID, but COVID, it was like, forget it. You're on the bottom of the barrel, baby. Oh, Kevin says, he says, travel modulars have been a problem with the new openers. It's a bummer, man. I'm telling you. We got traveler modulars in the LiftMaster. We've had RPM sensors in the Genies. Somebody the other day was saying it, maybe it was, I don't know who was saying they installed the 2, right? The one worked fine, the other one didn't. I think it had a bad circuit board. I think Eric was saying something about he, was doing the MyQ, worked on the one opener. The other one it wouldn't link up to, needed a circuit board. And I know these are thousands that are going through the system, right? And it's like it's going to happen, but I'm not seeing the common trend of like maybe like the first gen Toyota Tundras. They were just solid. Like I understand certain things, like somebody's breaking wall buttons, like because they screwed them down too tight. I get it. Like I can deal with that. But when like something that you got to tear into, like the whole unit, that's to me is like tearing out the motor. That's like tearing out the transmission. That's bull crap. That's how I look at that stuff. Like I go, that is crap. You know what I mean? Like maybe the pull cord, the string isn't as nice, so it's like you got to double knot it. Oh, go wind somewhere, baby. But like the stuff that you got to tear to do with circuit boards or travel modulars or RPM sensors because they tighten them down and they know they had a problem, right? So then they send you a bunch of them or something like that. What in the flipjack is going on? You know what I mean? And like I said, this costs everybody a ton of time, a ton of money. It doesn't matter. It's time, you know what I mean? That you can't bank on this product to be reliable. That's the problem. So it's very problematic. It just grinds me, because we had stuff that was good. We know how to make stuff good. We're Americans. We should do better. We should be better. We know how to build some sweet ass stuff, and we can't build shit right now. It's garbage, just absolutely garbage. And so it's like, will the real men stand up, please? Like it irritates the hell out of me because I just go, how could you take away an ATS with mechanical limits? And I never hardly ever did circuit boards. Once in a while, lightning strikes, something, would take it out. Right. And then you build this other stuff, that's, it's got Wi-Fi. I don't care about your damn Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? Like, give me the option. Just go, here's the A plan and here's the B plan. The B plan's got all the technologies and bells and whistles and can be a little problematic. The A plan, boy, those are solid. They've been around for 15 years. Dave, you and myself know this. They're solid machines. You know this. And I go, yeah, I've installed a lot of those. Had a lot of good luck. No problems. But no. I just seen somebody say something about with the EPA. And I thought, does the EPA get with these guys too? Is that what's causing everything to go DC? Oh, I think that's who said the Marantec. They said the Marantec was the first innovators of DC motors in openers. So like, that's why they got their stuff down where everybody else is like trying to play catch up right now. And that's what it seems like in the car automotive industry. And it irritates the hell out of me that, that it's like, why do we have to have this stuff shoved down our throats? I don't want your your turbo 4-cylinder. I want a naturally aspirated V8. I think we can do better. I think we can make our diesel engines better. We don't need all this emission crap on them that's killing them. I mean, my bank account just isn't endless, Rob says, I think the only good ones are whole house ones that are wired into panel. Oh, so we're talking like surge protectors. Makes kind of sense. Those ones have to be built better, maybe. I just can't ever say for sure they're good. He says, I can tell you, Tony says the LiftMaster Maxim isn't solid. Man, I tell you, like I said, I don't think I'm going to see one anytime soon. I told Cap, I said, hey, man, I said, if you get one that's close, and then we were at the job site today, and I told him, I said, one that's like a one door. And I said, actually, I said, maybe not one door. I said, maybe they got 2 or 3. I said, because if that one breaks, I said, you can like move over and be like, you guys can use the other door for right now until we get that one fixed. But I just told him, I said, you make sure. I said, don't put it far away from the shop. I said, because I said, I'm hearing issues. Tony's been telling me about the different, speeds or selections, 1, 2, 3. And some of the door issues, yeah, I'm not sold. I'm not hearing just, man, you got to try this. It ain't like the bearing blaster, the bearing blaster, go get it. I endorse it. But this, I don't know. They're going to have to pay me some really big bucks to ever say, it's great. It's right here on my hat. You really should try it. and I'm not planning on doing that. I like to keep it real because there's a lot of hardworking people out there, and uh, money's not going that far anymore these days, and I'm sure it's going to get worse. And I hate when people spend their money, including myself, and this stuff lets you down. You got to go back, the warranty. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous when we know, I know deep down we got the technology. We got the resources. We know how to build things that last. But you mean to tell me it's better to have these DC motor stuff out there? No, because it's cheaper to make. But yet, let's say they only last, 3 to 5 years, and we're tearing those things out, throwing them in landfills, scrap yards, polluting whatever. Come on. Come on. Rusty's got, he says, I really see more than 5 claims a year from the 200 to 250 lift masters we've installed. He says per year. Do you think it's because the box stores is getting worse parts versus when I get openers through Clopay Center? I don't know exactly on that. I, you know, I was told once from a guy, even like an iPhone, can't say this is true. I can't prove it, but sometimes if you go to like, let's say like a TJ, is it not TJ, TJ Maxx, but it's like T-Mobile. You go to T-Mobile and you buy the iPhone, the new iPhone, whatever it is, iPhone 15 or something. I don't know. It's not the same iPhone that you possibly would buy, let's say from Verizon or Sprint back in the day or whatever. You know what I mean? Like theirs is actually a better quality. I don't doubt it. I still think there's a theory. My mom's told me one time. She says, "You ever notice you go to a mattress store? I don't know if this is true or not. You go to a mattress store and you lay on the beds and this one feels really good, right?" And I've watched my mom. My mom's a very good sales lady, and I've seen her before where she'll tell the salesperson, and she'll be like, "I want this one." And they go, "Oh, no, 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 no. We can't sell you that one." She goes, "No, no, no. No, I want this one." "Oh, you don't want this one. This one's a display." She goes, "I don't care. I want this one right here. Like I want to take it home like right now. I don't care it's been used. I don't care it's got, some kid's snot in the corner of it. I want this one." No, no, they won't do that, right? She had a theory one time. She's told me, and she could be right about this. She said, "I think they give you a lower quality. So what's out there is maybe a notch up, right? And you're just not going to go through the inconvenience, right? They bring it, they deliver it, they unpackage it, they huff it up your stairs, they bring it in your bedroom, whatever. They take your old one out, right? You get on it and you're like, man, this one doesn't feel quite as good. I mean, it's good, but the other one felt like it was just a little bit softer or whatever, but it's just enough to make you go, I don't know. It must just be me. You know what I mean? It's got the same sticker on it. But who's to say? Who's to say? So I don't know. I don't know, but I'm hearing it across the board. Um, I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe like in our area, we might have just dirtier power than like Rusty has. Maybe it's uh, I don't know because we've tried. We get some of ours. Where do ours come from? They come from Clopay. Some of the Lift Master, and then we have also our one vendor that's the biggest one in the state of Michigan. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. I just see it. I see it on the box stores. I'm seeing it on people that are buying them, right from the vendors. Uh, I, like the '08 era, I never had problems with those ones. You know what I mean? But these new ones, I've had, you know, I don't know when it started, maybe 2012, 15. I mean, it seemed like whenever they came out with that, the buttons on the back of the opener. You know what I mean? That was when things started, like they still haven't got rid of that weird, like the inch, like you always keep it like an inch off and then it still goes down a little farther. I don't know about the photo eyes, just weird, spooky things, that just do weird ghost things in them. Trailer modular. What do we got here? Steven. He says, I use a 1/2 inch wrench to mount the rails. It jumped on me here. He says, I'm afraid of using an impact will damage control board traveler module. Ooh, Steven, I like. Thank you for bringing that up. Hey, we got 17 likes too, you guys. So thank you very much for the likes. That's awesome. We're climbing. Brings more people in. See, it just, there you go. So Steven, that might be a valid thing to think about. I've kind of never thought about that. That's a good point right there. I'd use a half inch or use a wrench. I might have to bring that up. That is a good, that's a very good point. Shouldn't affect. He says that's because they've been dropped many times from their trip from Mexico to your shop. Yeah. that's a good one. That's a good one. Rich like that one. Yeah. It's hard to say. It is hard to say. I remember some of the genies. I think they were the belt screwdriver, whatever. I remember it caught my business partner one time. It caught myself one time. Luckily on me, it didn't break the circuit board, but they put the circuit board right up in the front. And so you'd be watching the door panel, right? As you're controlling the limits, you're trying to get the door set limits. And I remember one time, like I was watching the door. I'm like, oh, need go a little higher. Need to get out of the header. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden it was like, boom, it ran into the opener. I'm like, oh, son of a gun. I'm like, dude, I hope I just didn't break this thing. He smashed it so hard. It quit working instantaneously. Now, luckily, right? I guess in a nutshell, it was a Lowe's install. So we shoved her back in a box. We took her back to Lowe's that day. Lowe's swapped us out another one. Basically, no questions asked. Here you go. Have a good day. We went back, installed it. Hey, don't do that again. Shorten the J bar, whatever. Don't let the door come all the way to the header. You get those weird ones that are just kind of a little goofy. Tony says, yeah, he says that bearing blaster, just like the Surewinder, is a must-have. We used the spring turner today. I would have liked to seen how the Surewinder compared, but I got Cap to at least try it. So he's digging it. It's. I told him, I said, you ain't huffing and puffing right now, are you? Definitely be great for more multiple doors. That's for sure. Kevin's guy says definitely learning curve on the maximum. Probably installed 20 so far. No issues. Knock on wood. Well, that's good. That's good. So that's a good one, Rusty. Tony says. I like that. Tony says he's got new doors, Kevin. Kevin says new and old. First, second, I had doors. Oh, jumped here. Where'd it go? First, second, I did doors were waterlogged. Interesting. Very interesting. Tony's guy said I put one on an 18 by 14, probably 30-year-old door. What is this? Oh, I missed it. I had to put it back in and walked on it to straighten it. All up. He says opener worked fine. He says the second one been a nightmare. Dang. That is a bummer. Oh, so Kevin's guy says, do you use the bigger size motor or just the normal? He says, did one on a 20 by 12 with normal size motor. Little tricky to get it set. Told boss, he says we need to change it to a bigger motor, which we did set right up. Interesting. That is interesting. I didn't even know they had the bigger motors for them. This is all good stuff, though. This is all great stuff. Yeah, like I said, it isn't like the old days with the clutches, baby. You just tighten them up and away you go. You know what I mean? That thing will just power through it, the AC. If anybody's got any feedback on the EPA getting into them, there's something going on. Why do all these things have to always be like interchanged with each other? Where like, this company's doing it, so why is this one? Why would you do that? Like in a business, like the heck with that. We're not going that way, guys. Like this is stupid. Like we know this works. This is true, proven. Customers are going to see the value. We're just going to go down this route. You know what I mean? We got something that's bulletproof, but it's like somebody comes in there and stirs the pot, aka Govo. the Gov, they come in and they're like, oh no, every year you must change this to our beholdeth. So I think the bigger one Rusty's got recommend above a certain weight. Yeah, it's hard to say, man. I'm gonna have to get my hands, or I'm gonna have to hook up one of you guys and see them installed and kind of go from there. But far as I know, they're a little heftier in price. Cap acted like they're quite a bit. I don't know how much. I should have asked him. I don't know, but he just said nope. He says I'm good. He says we're gonna stick with the genies. He goes, we just don't have problems with them, and they're a little goofy. Ain't gonna lie. But I thought it was funny today when I said, you ever change a circuit board one? And he's like sitting there thinking about it, and he's like, no, I can't say I have. He goes, now that one, the medium grade one, he goes, now that, he says, remember we did fuses, we did circuit board. And I said, yeah, we're not counting that. I said, I don't even recommend that to people. I said, I think it was junk. I said, the more heavy duty ones. And he said, no. And I said, you know what? I said, I can't think of any time when I was on the field, I don't know, I probably did at least, I don't know, probably 100, maybe 200 that I installed over the years. And with him, kind of looking over them, those customers would have called us back with problems. And then they've been installing them for quite a few years now too. It was just, we went over to them with the commercial line because LiftMaster, we just started having circuit board problems after circuit board problems. And then it was like we had a weird goofiness, like their photo eyes changed. Like you have to use better copper wire than like what they even like. You can't use the residential. I've had that where it's like glitches, like it'll have just a slight flitter in that photo eye, just a slight flitter that you can't even tell. Like I literally have to get on my belly and stare at that thing, like like get right into it. And I can see a little flitter, and that's all it took for making it for the photo eyes to freak out. Finally found out through like the third or fifth technician, this was quite a few years ago, that my wire wasn't adequate. And I was using the wire that I got provided from the vendor that was actually LiftMaster wire. So then we went to the 18 gauge that we just normally use for like our gate stuff. And then we never had the problem. Rusty's guy says, I have been using 1 horsepower commercial jack shaft lift masters because they still have mechanical limits and a chain hoist. Yeah, I like, the mechanical limits, pretty solid, pretty solid. I'm bummed, I mean, I would still even take the older, the T50 and the J50, even though we've had circuit boards, not very commonly in those. I still take those over. It sounds like the new one, the maximum. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm hoping, I'm kind of like, I look at it and I just go, this is just my personal opinion. I go, I'll just let everybody else be the guinea pig. I'll sit back and let's give these things 5-10 years and see how they hold up, or what they improve, or what model, or what gen these things, they make it to Gen 3 or something, and that one's better, or these things are pretty solid, or something that gives you the fizz. I want something that gives me the fizz. And, for us Michiganders, the fizz is normally 4-wheel drive and, balls to the walls and just hardcore country boys up here. It's normally, we got some hardcore, plow drivers around here. We got some, our road commissions and stuff. I mean, the salt and everything, the rust belt, we're hard on things, man. And when you get that freezing cold weather and stuff, I mean, I've come across openers around here it's got like an inch of frost on them. You know what I mean? And it's like you love being up in a scissor lift looking at that puppy and she's chugging along. You know what I mean? You're up there doing something for the spring or something, and you're like, that's what I want to see. You know what I mean? Like that puppy's just running through her. I think we even had one. What was it? We had a customer. Cap was telling me today. He said, you remember that one we did? Is for a block. They make blocks for like new construction homes and stuff, or basements. And I said, yeah. And he goes, remember how I had that old Osco in there? I said, yeah. And I said, remember how I tried to fix it. And he says, and you came and you tried to fix it. And I said, yeah. I said, I put different parts in it. We just threw in the towel, man. It was like we were chasing something, we're taking old parts out of an old opener too. So, it finally just got to the point. It was like, look, we got to replace this. We're spending way too much time. I'm in the way. We're right in a production area where they got a forklift that comes in and out. The rest of the building has got LiftMaster in it. So it's like, let's just stick with the LiftMaster, right? And so we put a LiftMaster in there. Well, come to find out, and this is nothing against LiftMaster on this one, it wasn't their fault, but the building would get condensation when they dry the bricks after they mold them, the concrete and that they dry. Well, things in there get humid, and that opener, for some reason, like I said, it got enough moisture, it would zap the boards, and it became very consistent. It was like, and then how it is with the maintenance guy. The maintenance guy is like, well, how did the other one last, 20, 30 years? It didn't have no problem, and we're like, well, the new one's got circuitry to them, unfortunately, and this is just what we're left with. And I don't remember exactly. I don't know if we changed it out with a different opener. I can't remember exactly what caps there. We put like a rain cap on it or something, because I think it was coming from the ceiling. It was dripping, even though it was a really big area. I mean, it was a big drop on those. I mean, it was all of I remember a 10-foot piece of angle wouldn't drop it, so it was 12 to 16 drop from the ceiling. But just weird, just weird stuff. Dun, 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 dun. Rusty says a customer called today to replace 2 Genie screwdrivers that are still working good, but he says they're from 19. Oh, it's covered with the little heart thing here in the way. I don't know why it always does this. Let's see if I can scroll this up a little bit. No. From 19. Don't think the new openers will last that long. Probably not. I don't think there's much anything nowadays. 1989. Got it. Seen Rich jumped in there. So I don't think the new ones. It's kind of weird though. I haven't seen anybody or heard anybody change, which is interesting. Like the one Genies that had the screwdriver that had that I don't know what even the real metal is, but it's like aluminum trolley that the gears would always get eaten up on. They were really easy to fix. You know what I mean? When you go to a customer and they're sitting there and it's barely making it, or the trolley's not moving. Now they went with that plastic trolley. I still haven't changed one. I just don't know if they've not been out long enough. I think they've been out like 5-8 years now. Might even been longer, but I haven't come across one yet. So, but I'm a diehard. I really do like the Genie screwdrivers. If it's a residential application, I like how they stop. I like how they just got tons of power. I like that they don't bounce around a lot. Like, sometimes with like the belts, even, you tighten them up, you tighten them up a little more than you're supposed to tighten them up. You know what I mean? And they kind of got that swoop to them. They make noise to me. Like they just, the screwdrivers do too, but the screwdriver just has a super beautiful sound to it when it runs to me. I just love how it just, it's fast. That's just me. I like my screwdrivers. I think it's probably because I've used them in a lot of applications too. I've used them on I think I've gone as 12. I don't think I've gone over 14. I don't think I've done 14. I might have come a little bit because I remember one was for a guy that did vehicles, and we ended up making his door bigger, and then I had to use the Genie screwdriver because I needed it to mount right up to the ceiling, and I ended up screwing right through the trolley to mount it to the ceiling because he had plywood up there, and that thing ran like a champ. I don't know. It just those screwdrivers get me out of so many jams. Like you do always fear that the circuit board, if it gets a zap or something, it's gonna go. But they're just solid, especially if people are gonna stop them midway or they do halfway. They're letting air in. They want to put fans. I don't know. They work good. Rich says, I'm sure government has their fingers into how much force an opener can have. And I'm sure the calculation of the most pristine conditions. Yeah, I don't doubt that one bit. You're so right. Are they screwdrivers, Rusty? Those ones are screwdrivers. Isn't that what you said? Let me see here again. It says I have a new customer call today. Yep, screwdrivers. I don't think I want the old ones. I kind of got a little soft spot for these new ones with those plastic, the plastic trolley that runs along in there. Those are pretty smooth. You know, those old um, the aluminum ones, right? You know, they'd always kind of, you know, the thing. Did I pass some people? I see Door Guy on here. He's got 2013. Did I pass that? I'm sorry. 2013. I bet that was when they started doing the LiftMaster. New and old, first, second. I did doors, waterlogged. Do. Dun, 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 dun. Is that going to be free shipping, Rusty? Free shipping, right? If you're going to send them to me, probably go in my scrap pile. Oh man! But if you get a chance, Rusty, do take a picture. Take a couple pictures of it. Send it to me. It'd just be cool to see them. I don't know what 1989 has. I don't know if that's like the metal covered ones that has like the worm gear in the back, or if that's like a red. I don't think that's the red cover. I could be wrong because they had like with the red covers and they went black covers. I wasn't even like a part of that. Like I said, I was right out of the gate when I first started in the business. I was a LiftMaster, all diehard LiftMaster fanboy. I mean, I loved my LiftMaster. I didn't have no callbacks, man. I mean, they just rock solid. Loved them. Absolutely hated Genie at the time. Hated programming them. They look cheap. They look like a vacuum cleaner to me. You know, but then it just started having, we weren't running on 8 cylinders anymore. We started, you know, sometimes it was 7, sometimes it was 6, sometimes it was none. It was just like, man, we got to do something. These callbacks are killing us. No. But it's kind of weird because now we're shifting. So the problem is too, as Cap told me, he says the Genies, the price point on them is they're a lot cheaper for us than the LiftMaster. But he said that now we're having problems with the Genie. He's leaning, you know, he's bringing more LiftMaster back in. But they're having some problems too, unfortunately. What surprised me? Tony says it wouldn't surprise me. Rusty says I will send you these. He says yes. Oh, no safety sensors. Yeah, what year? I was around, I feel like. Or no, I just remember. Was it 1992 or 93? Does anyone remember when safety eyes became the mandatory? What year that was? I feel like it was 92 or something, 93. For the residential, anyways. Commercial didn't come along for a little while. Kevin says, follow the money. He says, LiftMaster CEO probably invested in a DC motor company. You know, the only thing I know is the guy that's our biggest guy in Michigan for distributor of them. He just told me one time, you know, it's flat out. He just said, you know, he says, you know why they're going DC? And I'm like, oh, because they're lighter. He goes, they're cheaper to make. He goes, you know, and that's when he was like, you ever pick up an AC and how heavy it is? How much metal, copper, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, they're a monster. I was like, I mean, I personally like the DCs. I mean, I like being able to, you know, as I get older, I mean, I like them being lighter, but I also know, like, you know, this product is probably not going to last as long as the one I'm taking out, you know. That's what Eric should do. Eric's big about the openers. Or is it who's the one guy? Is it the garage door geek? We should he just needs to start a business where we'll just send them in, they get refurbished, and they'll come back for the customer, and we'll see again in another 50, 60 years, you know. This is Peter series. Is Genie the only ones who sell screw drives? Why don't other companies sell them more expensive? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think LiftMaster makes a screw drive anymore. Says I will drive to Michigan from Michigan. He says from Pennsylvania for a T-shirt or sticker. I love it. Tony says 1992 safety sensors. Steve's got 1993. I figure it was 92 or 93. It's somewhere in that era. I just remember because I feel like I had an old Craftsman or something that was like right in that. It was like that weird era. I don't know why that is. Maybe I was just playing around with them. Maybe it's because I was servicing them when I was starting, because I I wasn't in business by then. But no, Peter, on those genies, I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why they don't make. Um, but I tell you what, man, I tell you, I really like the screwdrivers. I got some of the screwdrivers like in some of the rentals. I just like how they run, man. I think they sound smooth. Um, the belt drives are sweet, you know, even on like the Lift Master, but I just still don't get the fizz like I do with a Genie screwdriver. I feel like I have so many more options. I think for one, I can slam the trolley. The trolley is normally pretty stable with that, like kind of like that C channel. What I found, if you get over a certain length, they get a little bit, you know, wobbly. Like they need almost like a mid support. They've saved my hiney. I installed a lot of those um, the 8500 LiftMaster, the jack shafts, and I got screwed big time on those. And the Genie's just, you know, when you get a call from a customer that's like, this thing's not working, or the wall button quit working, or now it's our remotes just quit working randomly, and you're like, what? You know, and like you're like, did you replace the batteries? And they're like, yeah. And it's like it's just like it doesn't even know it, you know. You're in, and or the machine was just failing, like it just won't even work. Problem after problem, or like we were putting them on standard lift doors when we should have been, you know, they should have been a trolley. Um, I had one guy that was a little ways, and we installed a Genie, and I never heard from the guy. I just never heard from him. And I mean, the screwdriver is just like, it's my go-to that I install it, and I just don't have problems. We got one at the shop. We just, it runs, you know what I mean? It runs. It's not in like a horrible environment or anything, but it gets used quite a bit. I mean, it's at the shop, and it just runs, man. I don't know what's about them. You know, do I think they, you know, could a LiftMaster take it in a lightning strike? Yeah, I don't doubt that. You know what I mean? But luckily we don't have a lot of power outages there. Um, you know, but these new ones, I don't know. I think LiftMasters even come down a little bit. What's up, Mr. SOS? What's the guy says? Hey Dave, this is a great show. It says no last screen drives. LiftMaster made on the AC side was the 3040. The DC side was the 2500D. Hope you're doing good, brother. Says sorry, not the 20. It was a different model. Rich just says 1987. Rich, I think you're a little old on that one. If you're talking about for photo eyes, maybe somebody put them on there because they wanted to. But I feel like when it kind of got mandated on the residential side, I feel like it was like the 92, 93. It's just what comes in my head. Could be wrong. What's Rusty got? Dave, what was that? Was that the ghost? Is that the Genie ghost? I don't know what that was. Somebody let in a moth or something. Did you say you can't get the half commercial LiftMaster with mechanical limits? They still make the MT 5011U commercial opener, and I buy I buy them 8 to 14 foot. So so for us, we've kind of gone across, like we don't buy any of the middle of the road openers. I mean, I'm not saying we wouldn't. I mean, if the application really warranted it, we have found out for affordable door and gate, it's just better to spend the extra. For us, it's like around like $60. It's better to almost like eat that, because you get so many more features when you go to like a T model instead of an MT, because we get in certain situations where the one, you can put a radio, you know, you can do the extended, you know, you can put the coax on it and extend the radio out, because we work in a lot of steel buildings. And so the remote, you can get it outside the building. We've just ran across, we did a couple for a fire department one time. And I remember the fire department, they wanted to put a light system because they had a problem with their guys hitting the garage doors. It was a tight situation and they weren't waiting for the door to go up all the way. They wanted to integrate that LiftMaster light onto it, like, you know, the red light, you know, green light, red light. The MT didn't support that. So we typically don't do any of the middle of the road with LiftMaster or Genie. Genie, because they're on the commercial side, I'm talking here. The Genie, they're just horrendous. But and on the LiftMaster side, we just never did it because they didn't have enough. It didn't have enough features. Because we'd run into somebody that would have this bright idea, you know, 6 months down the road that they're like, we're running into this problem. We'd like it to, have timer to close, and we're like, oh man, it's like, how much of a nightmare. And then now you got a used opener that you're tearing out for them. You can price it, but it just turns into it like none of the guys had, it even takes the thunder out of me to have to go back and take an opener out that you're like, for $60, I would have ate it. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather just give it to them if that's what's going to make the bid. If it's not a big job, obviously, if we're doing like 20 some doors, that stuff could add up. The numbers don't mean it. But for us, it's like always been just, for the 40 to $60, whatever. We're just going to go with the bigger model. Even our one of our bigger competitions in town, they always do the bigger stuff. It's just, might as well have the features, right? And then you just kind of stock one thing. At least this is how it's been for us. Rich B says, brilliant hot dog guy. Where do you see him? Where's I don't see him jump in here. If SOS here though, I wonder how the economy is out there for him. What's he seeing? What's he seeing? Gas prices, all that kind of stuff. What's his pulse on the economy? Super busy, kind of medium, kind of slow, kind of what do you see in your neck of the woods? I know around ours, like I said, I'm seeing a lot of mechanic shops that are kind of sitting empty. The tire shops are kind of sitting empty. Nothing's going gangbuster. But like I said, when they gave out those old stimmy checks, holy cow, they were lined up on the road to get in there. Rich Scott, hey SOS. He says, how you doing? Hello, Rich. Tony's got, it was 1993. Yes, it was. What time is it now? Insert. Oh, I don't know. Sorry about that. It keeps popping up these ads. I try to keep blocking them, but I don't know what it's doing. I can't catch them all. Focused on more new service than new installs. Well, I'm kind of glad SOS brought that up because it's kind of goes back to that whole that guy that used to work with me, and sometimes service can be kind of good, I think, because I still think the broken springs, there's some money there, and you're not there for a long time, so you're in and out. You provide a quick service, you kind of get your thrill, and you kind of get out of there. Where sometimes when you start adding it up, when you think about how much you invest into a time with a door, not to say you can't price it in or blah blah blah, but when you think about it, right? You think about how much you got to wait for the truck to be delivered or dropped off shop. You got to either store it, you get then you got to put it back into a vehicle, or maybe you put it right into a vehicle. Is it damaged? Does it have scratches on it? Did you get touch up paint with it? All these things were service. Hey, you change some rollers. I mean, you're gonna get a call back on rollers. I mean, maybe it's making noise or something, but people aren't calling you for scratches or dents or just like springs and cables and so SOS might be the one. He might be the one to talk about it. He's been around the block a time or two, and maybe it's better profits for him for, and everybody's situation is different. I don't know how long this light will last. It's battery. Those darn battery backups. So it's hard to say. Tony's guys says having the right tools can do the job a lot faster. You know what? Oh yeah, you talking about that Surewinder? I'm surprised. That's something we should ask. I was just wondering if SOS has any spring, like a spring turner or a spring winder. Would the Surewinder use anything like that? I know I was talking to Cap today. He said something about, he goes, I don't know if I'd use it for residential. I was like, you might when you start thinking about your shoulder. But you guys are more welcome. Like I said, if you want to bring up something, go ahead and throw it in there. We'll stay on here for a little bit. Look, we got 17 likes. Holy cow, man. We're, we're screaming. Oh, and a heart. Dang. Forgot that. Service is definitely easy money. Easy money. Like I said, I had one guy that worked for me. He always said, he goes, man, he goes, if I was ever do a garage door business or something, he goes, I just do garage door springs. And that resonates with me. I'm like, it might be kind of hard to fill the schedule depending on where you're at. But I thought, I feel like the springs, I always just keep thinking about, I go, that's kind of that whole, um, it's like how do I explain it? It's like the insurance adjuster, or the house that burned down, right? It's like that time to capture, you know what I mean? To be like, oh, you got a broken spring? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I can come out there. I can be out there in like 20, 30 minutes, and I get you fixed up. It's, but it's going to be, we're depending on the spring size, and that could be $400-600. And they're just like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, my car's trapped. I mean, if I rent a car, it's going to cost me $1,200. Like, if I call, I just need my garage door. Like, you can get here and get here now. Oh man, Rich is a guy. He says gas is cheap, $2.78 in Michigan City. I think gas is like right around like 30 something right now around here, 340 ish, if I remember right. I'm kind of one of those guys that don't pay attention too much unless it makes a big jump. Like when it hits like $1 jump, I'm like, holy crap! But it kind of need it. SOS guy says exactly, if you can offset price to profit of a new garage door system, then go for it. He says, but service jobs are still more profitable in a quicker amount of time. Yeah, I think that's the big thing that a lot of people, even including myself, I've overlooked that for a very long time. Where you can just get so entrenched into work sometimes that you never sit back and really look at the numbers, and it's super easy to do that. I've done it many a times, but and like I said, you got to look at the risk, right? Service, yeah, you got to deal with the customer. Just like with a brand new door, though, you maybe do something wrong and you have a callback, but service, like I said, you're doing the springs, you're doing rollers, you're doing some hinges, you're doing a strut, whatever. You know, you're not dealing with a big old surface that could possibly have a scratch, a dent, um, maybe missing parts. I mean, you might not have the right parts, I guess, in service, but you know what I mean. It's that's also got gas in Southern California, still about 425. Yeah, I think Rusty's right there with us. Gas, Pennsylvania, 349. Yeah, that's about where we're sitting. Tony's like, he's like, ouch. He's like, ouch for that. He says, don't worry, Tony. That's why he's double the price of us on stuff. Don't worry. He's rolling in it, man. I'm just joking. It's tight everywhere, man. I tell you, inflation. I've been watching some of the people talk about the inflation. If they lower it in September, which I think they're gonna probably. I'm on board with that. But I wonder what it's gonna do. It. You can't predict anything nowadays. It seems like it's just all over the place. Is it gonna bring inflation up? Is it gonna be good? Is it gonna be bad? I don't know. All I know is I feel like people are getting goofier, at least around my area. I actually seen what was it the other day at an intersection. I watched a guy get out of his car. Looked like he was ready to go beat up another dude in a vehicle. Must have been some kind of road rage. A lot of cars been flipped over. A lot of car accidents on beautiful dry days right now. Like, and I'm just like, I mean, I just seen another one that was posted today. It was like car flipped on its side, and people are like, really, a car flipped over? That's a moth. I gotta get that son of a gun. And but they're like, a car flipped over in a 35 mile an hour. I gotta turn this light off. That moth's gonna bug me. He's gonna come and get me. But it's just like people are getting crazier. I don't know if it's because I don't know. Peter, he says, when doing service, he says, when do you write the contract out after inspecting the door or before? Just verbally. It says SOS guy says if it was, it is. That's why spring jobs average around 5 to 700. Nice. Let's see what Rusty says before I kind of get into it. He says, Peter, he says, what I do is go in, measure springs, inspect door for other problems, then tell the customer you will write them up something to go to your vehicle and write an estimate, give options, and ask which one. Yep. And so like I think we do a little different than like Rusty. So like for us, like we always charge a service call to come out. Basically, it's like that's non-refundable for us. We're gonna come out. We don't do free estimates. We're gonna come out. We're gonna charge this, and then we'll apply that to the job, right? And that kind of hooks them in a little bit because now they spent whatever $120. That's gonna be applied so they don't run off and use somebody else. Not that we're trying to do anything devious. It's just that we need to be paid for our time, our gas, and our showing up. And then obviously get out there. They'll consult with them or they'll talk with the secretary, depending on the situation, whatever the tech feels like he wants to do. If he says, hey, they weren't home, can you call them at work? Blah, blah, blah. He moves on to the next one. So you can kind of do it however. A company around different kind of company, plumbing, whatever, they always advertise, they'll give you a written estimate before any work will be done. And so I think that is kind of nice, to have something kind of written down to tell them, hey, this is going to be X. Most time we deal with jobbers, so everything kind of gets integrated into that. We send them an email, they can approve it, and then we go ahead with the work and whatnot. But you can do the handwritten stuff all day. Like I said, I don't know if Peter's been around long enough. Like this is what I don't know if it's going to show up or not, but this is what we used to always have. I basically built this from scratch and then kept adding on to it. And it's not perfect, but like we, up here, I'm on the wrong side. It was a commercial. This was more for like some of the stuff was for the secretary. So it's like whole top piece was. So you get like I don't know how to make this show up any better. Let me turn this light on again, see if the moth will attack me. Come on, light. Come on, camera. Dun-dun-dun. So they'd have like, I always remember it was 4 things. So the customer, it was like name, address, phone number. How did you contact us? We had data service. This was a lot of times like for our commercial, we had time in, time out, technician who was there so we could do the billing. You could just get something. You can just make something up, I remember I focused on it so hard that I remember the guy that I was making it with back when you had to go to your printing guy that made all your business cards and stuff. He would say, he goes, look, it's not going to be perfect, and I was trying to redo it. And he says, just do it and start working with it. And he said, you'll figure out what you need over time. And he was right. That's why I started I wanted to know, was this commercial? Was this residential? So when it was on our clipboards, let me click this off. I think it's going to do another ad or whatever. Technicians, but majority we kind of kept it. Like I always wanted to know we used to have their credit card stuff on here. We wanted them to sign it, at the very bottom. Signature is always good. Just seems like when you get them to sign stuff, they lock in a little better sometimes. But you really can just kind of do it however you want, just go with it. I mean, you can even use those pads that you get from I don't think I got one here. You can use from, Office Max, whatever. If you're just starting out, just, biggest thing, get started, get your hands dirty. Rusty says my spring jobs average 5 to 750 in Pennsylvania, also depending on wire size cables and payment for the bearing blaster. Yeah, usage. I like that. That's funny. Heck yeah. Tony Scott says we don't charge to come out, look the door over, give them a price verbally, usually get the job right then, which is nice, and if you got good text or you're kind of yourself in a sense, right, and your stuff is stocked, that's great. What I mean? Like that's the best part is when you can just do it right then and there. That's the beauty, man. Peter's guy says, thanks, Rusty, Tony, and Dave. Uh, says, well, said Dave's SOS. He says, we offer free estimates, photos of the door system. We find more issues on arrival. We address before offering a final quote. We close 90% of the time doing this, which is great. What's 20 guys says, hey guys, hit the like button. That hits 20. Oh man, or 17. Yeah. So, I mean, so it's kind of a little different for us, I think, for the, affordable door and gate, basically, because like for like us, I don't want to be mean about it, right? But our residential is not our bread and butter. Our residential is kind of a nuisance for us because we're more geared for our commercial. If we were pushing probably more residential, like we wanted that, I would say that we would probably definitely might entertain more free estimates and try to do more things of that nature. You know what I mean? We used to, and then it got to be just too cumbersome. Like and this is just totally, totally my opinion in our area. And like I said, every demographic's different. Hey, we got 18. We're getting closer to 20, but we don't have a real. Our demographics can be very kind of ghetto to high end because we got the lakeshore. But I call it. We get a lot of people that like to waste your time. You know what I mean? They're tire kickers, and it depends, right? Like if it's a broken spring, you normally can just get it, right? You're there, you tell them whatever, But if it's like they kind of want weather seal, and if you don't have like the pictures are huge nowadays, I can tell a ton by a picture. I'm sure you guys can too. I just need one that's far outside and one inside, and I'm pretty much golden. I can kind of zoom in. Sure, would I like more? Absolutely, but we just found out it's easier to filter them out a little bit because the thing is like I've even ran across customers that want to pay cash, and those people, they're almost not qualified. You know what I mean? So it's like if we get customers rate where we can tell them, and then it's like we're asking them, well, how do you plan on paying? You're gonna have a service call. And like I said, for us, it's like, hey, we'll talk to you for an hour on the phone and try to help you through or FaceTime you and do whatever we can, photo eyes or out of whack or something like that's us all day. But it's like for us, if we have to jump in that van and the trucks or whatever and head out, we got to make something we show up. And um but I don't know where I was going with that. But it's just something that has worked for us a little bit. We just had a lot of people that would waste our time with the free estimates. Some of them would turn it into insurance. That's how they play the game. They'd want to get a quote from you. And I remember one time I told a lady, I said, it's $30. I said, if you want a quote, and I thought that was very generous. And this was, I don't know, 10 years ago. And she's like, well, right here it says on your thing, this is a phone book era days, right? She says, right here it says free estimates. I said, it is. I said, if you want to tell me a door size and stuff, I said, I will gladly send you what you need. I said, I'll send it fax, email, whatever it was. I said, but if we have to get in that vehicle and drive out there, I said, it's $30. And the reason I think I kind of stuck with that is I was learning from a mechanic that was on the main drag where the shop is there on Apple Avenue. And he said, I went in one time and I got a truck diagnosed and I was like, I couldn't afford it. I was a younger kid. And he said, it's going to be $30. And I said, okay, that's fine. And I heard him talking to a guy next to me, and the guy was like, $30, he says, he goes, you wouldn't believe, he says, how many people we get that, he says, we get people in here all day long. He says, I want to get their vehicles inspected. We inspect them. He says, you know what they do? They take our list, and he says, they go down to AutoZone, and he says, they fix their own vehicles. And he says, and so he says, I got to pay my guys. He says, I got to pay for the scissor lift. I got to, or the lift that lifts the car. I got to pay electricity. I got to pay for the shop towels. He's like, yeah, it's $30. I think that's very fair. And I was like, I kind of get that. Like, I thought, I like that, you know? But like I said, if we were more aggressive, I get it. I mean, I'd do it. I'd probably do try to close it if you got your technicians are really trained, if you got, if you're doing employees and stuff. Dun, 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 dun. Kevin's got maybe checklists. So if you are called, I'm assuming on the springs, and you find something else also, and they refuse the extra work, they can't try to call you back a week later for a warranty because something else messed up. Yeah, there's different ways. Like I said, residential is always a little tough for us in our area. Like I said, they always find it's normally pretty good because, like I said, we're already guaranteed, like we're locking in, like it's 120 service call. You know what I mean? And so that's, then we'll take that off. So if you're going to get an opener and it's, whatever, $400, we're taking the 120 out of there, but we need something to play ball here, a little bit. We need to know that you can exchange money, you know? And I personally don't even like it anymore. Like, hey, I'm a cash guy. I love the cash guy. I love the whole idea of kind cash. It stays 100% and everything. But I have also found that people that sometimes pay cash can dwindle. And I've had numerous of customers when I've been in the field that would be, oh, how much? Oh, it's that much. Okay, well, I don't have that much here, but give me 20, 30 minutes. I'll run to the bank. And you're like, 20, 30 minutes. Like, dude, I mean, I got 3, 4 more other service calls to go to, but I'll be darned if I leave this property without getting paid because I'll never see you again. You know what I mean? So that's where like the cash kind of, and now I'm hearing about these credit card scams. Those are getting me a little leery. It's like I'd almost rather be paid like Venmo or Cash App because they can't, do a chargeback on that. It's getting a little nervous with all these stolen credit cards and stuff too. Who's ready to play the new gimmick. Kevin says, especially when economy is slow, people are trying to stretch their dollars. Yes, they are. They are trying to find every which way. They'll try to, like I said, I've had the insurance ones where I've done numerous of those ones and I never got a call. Like they took the money and went to the, Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot and bought it and had their, Uncle Billy install it or something. So, you just never know, you know what I mean? And that to me is a waste of time, especially for what we are for technicians when we can be on a commercial job or on a fence job or a gate job. And that's already a bid job that's already priced in at this for X amount of dollars. It's hard when you're, out chasing around, not being kind of productive in a sense. Dun-dun-dun. Where are we at? 11? We'll do about 11:15 or so. We'll get out of here so everybody can go night. I'm glad you guys are here. Maybe, like I said, we'll get 20 before we quit. We're close. Dang, we're close. Can I hit the like button? Dang, I can't hit my own like button. Could have made it happen. Especially when the economy is slow. It says, we call that old age, Dave. Yeah, maybe it's like wisdom or something. You just kind of get over the years, Tony says, so true, Kevin. That's why I'm going to go to Costco, buy those openers, tear them down. He says, for the parts, he says, save a shit ton of money. So Tony asking, what do the credit card scams do? I guess what it is, what I'm hearing is they're doing stuff online, like through Facebook and that they're signing up. It's more like if you have like an automated service of some sort, like that would already get put into your system. But what they're doing is like they do it through like Facebook and somebody's got a stolen credit card. Well, then the customer is actually dealing with the scammer, right? But they'll contact you. They'll give you a fraudulent credit card. You think it's good. It's on file, right? You perform the service. And then what happens, the money will get pulled back and you're like going after the customer and the customer's like, I dealt with. So you have to make sure whoever that customer is dealing with is actually your business. It's going around in a lot of other businesses I'm hearing. I haven't heard so much in the door. It's more automated stuff. But I know years ago when I was, I did a garage door opener out of town. For like $325 or something. It says many years ago. I think it was a LiftMaster or something. And I remember I did the work and, probably, I don't know, 3 weeks or something goes by. Right. And I get this letter saying that this is a chargeback, and I'm like, and you know how it goes, right? The joy is they don't give you a lot of information. There's just going to be a chargeback of $325, right? And I'm like, okay, well, who is it? And so all I really got is like an amount and I got like a date. So I go back and luckily at the time we had a kind of I'll say a pow case that we kept our credit card machine in that we carry right in the truck. And we had all the receipts stacked in there. So I was going through all the receipts, looking for the date. I found it for this right amount. I'm like, okay. So this is a guy that's basically was in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I'm like, okay. So I called the guy, right? And I'm thinking, What the heck's going on here?" And I got the slip, right? I got the slip that he signed because it would spit out a paper slip and I'd make them sign it like you're supposed to. And I remember, oh, got 20 likes. Thank you guys. And so I remember I'm thinking, how in the hell am I getting a chargeback when I got the slip right here? Like, how does this even work? Like, I didn't have a way to justify my end of it. So I don't know. I think it was like the same day or something. I had to go see the accountant. And so I go see her and she's like, I'm like, yeah, I got this like letter. And she goes, I seen that like a couple days ago, 4 days ago or something in the bank account. She goes, that money got pulled. I was wondering what that was about. And I'm like, what? I'm like, the money's already been pulled? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, so now I call the guy and I'm like, hey, I'm like, we did this. And he's like, oh, he goes, it came up affordable door Muskegon or something. He goes, I thought it was a storage unit company that was trying to scam me. Well, I'm thinking in my head, because I've already been going through this era of that time of bad checks. And I'm like, yeah, right. I'm like, this dude's just playing the system. So he goes, I'll send you a check. And I was thinking, psh, yeah, right. Like I just thought, no, give me your credit card right now. I'm going to run this thing and don't do no chargeback on it. You're criminal. Well, I waited a couple days. The check did come, so thankful to on his behalf. But I just thought, man, I even got the slip. The credit card company doesn't contact me and say, do you have anything to prove this? Do you have any validation? And I'd be like, yeah, I'll fax this to you. I got the slip. It's signed. I mean, what more do I do? So that was always kind of one of those things where I just thought, dang those credit card companies, they just do what they want. And at the time, $325, and I already had an opener paid. He's got my opener now. It was a lot of money. It seemed like, especially when you're starting out, every dollar counts. Dun, dun, dun. It says once was offered guys Jeep for a weekend because he didn't want to pay for call. And the next sentence he was telling me about the 3,000 he just spent on his new dog. Yeah, isn't that's yeah. That's why like sometimes it's like I think I became very immune to this now. Like some of the newbies, right? Some of my like family members and stuff like that. They get like the rise, like, oh man, dude, we're going to this guy's. I mean, dude, he's on the lake, and I'm like, you'd be surprised. I'm like, don't get your hopes up. I've had the almost like the scum of the earth to the highest end, and it's like they sometimes it's like they're all the same breed. They're all looking for a deal. They're all looking for the cheapest. They're all looking for the buddy package. Some are fair. It seems like the business owner ones are somewhat reasonable. Like they ran businesses and but some of the I don't know. Some of the higher end ones just they well, give me a deal on this one and I'll I'm going to hook you up with three more. So give me a deal on this one and then I'll make sure you get these other three jobs and don't fall for that crap. I mean, it's no, this is the price for this one. This is a fair price. We're going to do this and we'll do a good job, blah blah blah. Know your worth. Know your worth. Says Kev. Tony says that would be Kevin. This says that would be fun. Rusty's got Kevin. We traded a garage door for taxidermy buffalo head one time. It's still in my parents' house. Nice. Tony says, especially when you bring it back after you rolled it. Oh my gosh, that'd be scary. Dang. Mrs. Freeman, an old coworker had lady that couldn't pay. She paid him another way. Oh my gosh, no way. Now he's married. Oh my gosh. I'd like a little more details on that, Tony. Maybe off camera. Is that true? Oh my gosh. Says dang, he says that happened to us. SOS says when we were dealing with home warranties, customer had to pay a $60 fee, then canceled the check. Oh my gosh. Then the home warranty would show on their end the customer paid but didn't. Telling you, man, sometimes they find little things. It's it's problematic out there. I wanted to kind of address this a little bit just for somebody that maybe comes across us or, that some of the new guys and stuff like that. Um, One thing you got to consider, right? So this has happened a couple times. I'm not saying like don't do it. You know what I mean? If it works for you, but here's kind of the scary situation. I don't do bartering anymore, right? And there's a couple reasons to it. For one, I'm not a solo band anymore. I got we got employees, we got, there's a whole mix of things. They can really screw up the system, right? Because you do that, um, it messes up what people, employees and stuff will think is fair, or they don't know the situation, they don't know how to ring it up. Well, we bought this material, how do I attach this to this job, blah 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 blah. Let's go down, right? And then there's another caveat to it. So I did one a couple of years ago. I think it was pretty much my last one. I told myself I will never do this again. Of course, there might be another time. Who knows? Um, Maybe I'll tell you two situations. But anyways, I do this one, right? I do a 9x7 door. It's out in the country for a lady. I think it was for wood or something, firewood. And come to find out, right? I do the door. She's kind of doing like the pressing, right? Every time you get hooked up to these people, it always seems like, well, when can you do it? When can you do it? When can you do it? Well, I don't know. When can you drop off my firewood? You know, well, I'm not going to drop it off to you, do my garage door, blah, blah, blah. So anyways, I do the garage door, and I remember like, I don't know, 3, 4 days later or something, I see in the news or whatever that, now I did her garage door, blah, blah, it was kind of a pain in the butt job. I do it. But anyways, their building caught on fire. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like all I'm thinking is like, I'm thinking the worst case scenario, right? Their building caught on fire with like the building that's attached to all the firewood and the trucks and the semis and everything. Like, oh my gosh. Like, and like now I'm a very, 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 very small fish to them right now. They could really care less about like, how can you think this right now? Like we just went through this traumatizing time. And I'm like, right, but you know what? Fair is fair. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like one of those things. Like this was kind of a residential job in a nutshell. But what I'm getting at is like it's one of those things that would be like you kind of go, I need to get paid. Like I'm done with the job. I'm gonna stop at your office, whatever. I'm gonna get paid. That would have been out of my life. But instead, it was like, like now the next day or something, whenever I get time, I'm like, I'm gonna take a drive past the building and like see if it's still standing. Like, because I don't want to be that guy, but I'm also like, dang man, I got, whatever, I don't know, $1,200, whatever it was, $1,500 in this with, materials and labor and whatever. And that's what the cost of the trade is. Not good. Now, another scenario was, we did one, which was really weird to me. We did one we didn't know what we were getting into, but it was a church. And this church was a weird church. Let's just say it was a old schoolhouse, one level flat schoolhouse, old brick, the old thin one pane windows type building. We end up getting roped into this. We go into this outhouse, whatever building where they probably kept the little buses at a time or something because they weren't real big doors. But anyways, there was food in there. It was a very nasty situation. We forgot, we were super busy. We told the secretary, like, look, we need to get paid. Like, we need to make them pay up front before we go back and install these springs. Somehow that got missed. We go back there, we're installing it. And all I'm thinking is like, we're never going to get paid. We're not going to get paid. We've never dealt with this customer. We're not in their system. Like we don't know each other, how things interact. We're screwed. We're screwed. So as we're working there, a worker of the church or whatever shows up, right? And this is like, think of the Clampids or something like in the movies, like, this is the guy, his shoulders are real low. Well, he's dragging a couple brand new kayaks behind him, just dragging them into the building and just took them out of the pickup truck. And the guy that I worked with has been telling me now for months how he wants to get kayaks and he wants to go down the river and stuff. And he, it's like his dream. And the guy stopped and come down and he's like, hey, he goes, it's too bad one of you guys aren't the owners. He goes, maybe we could trade a kayak, he says, for the springs that you're changing out. And I'm like, my light bulb goes off my head. And I'm not going to I'm not going to oust myself and say, I'm the owner. I can dictate that because he might think it's a fraud or not true or whatever. And I said, you know what? I said, let me make a phone call. So let me make a phone call, talk to the boss. Maybe he'll do that. I said, because I think, somebody wanted or he wanted, I'm just kind of breezing it over, right? Okay, okay. So I finally come back. I go, yeah, and I already talked to my the worker that was with me, and I said, look, I said, I'll do it for like half, even like we'll just take $400 out of your paycheck or whatever. This job was an $1,200 job, whatever. It's kind of a win-win. At least we get paid. You know what I mean? At least you got something. We get, a few dollars off your paycheck, you know. And so I go back to the guy, I tell him, I said, hey, I said, the boss said we could, I go, well, let me call the pastor and see. And he got these now from they got them from Sam's Club, free donations, whatever. You know what I mean? So, anyways, we got a kayak out of. So, there is situations that I was like, I don't think we're gonna get paid. And I really didn't want to bill this guy. I really didn't want to chase this place. That's why, like I said, love the churches, but I don't like working for the churches. So they have some weird glitches to them. Not one decision maker. That's what I like to deal with. I like to deal with one decision maker. I like to look somebody in the eyes and be like, are you making this decision? Are you happy with this decision? Is this your final call? Is this your final decision? But when you get those groups, I don't know, they're problems. And it seems like in the church, anyways, this is just my opinion. They always have somebody, well, did you call Bobby? Bobby could probably do it cheaper. Like they're all trying to save each other. Anyways, and so they always have somebody that's cheaper. And then, it's like you're chasing around and, well, can you do it? Could you do it for a good cause? And hey, if you can do it, I mean, it's great. You know what I mean? But sometimes it's like, I can't eat three doors, you know, ugh. SOS, he's out and deal with the home warranty company. He says, F them. He says, I'm with you, Tony. We stopped helping them. He says, quick. Yeah, I've heard a lot of bad things over the years about the home warranty companies. Kind of a bummer. It's kind of like, I think it's kind of like the Home Depot, Lowe's. Like you get neutered pretty quick on them when they only pay whatever, $87 per opener. And it's hard. You got pretty thin margins. You're not dealing with a lot of money. But hey, we all grew, we all learned, at least I did. It's just, I guess that's just, you just learn, man. You get your whippings, take them quick. Rusty's guy says choice home warranty is another one that you must collect a payment from the customer, then submit online and then wait an hour. So it fooled me once, never again. Ooh, good to know. Choice home warranty, huh? Customer submit online form. Wait. Not good. Not good. Peter says, did you get your wood? I don't know. Oh, did I get my wood? Gotcha. The firewood. I did. It wasn't that big a fire. It was just a little fire in the building or outside or something. So yes, thank you, Peter, for reminding me on the story. So yes, I did get it. It all worked out, but it's kind of one of those things. Like what I was getting at is that your stress level can be very volatile, and I've had numerous other ones I can't think of right off the top of my head that I've done the barter, and it's like, it's like you're an honest, good man and you go out and try to provide a good service and do it in a timely manner. And then it's like the other party will be like dragging their feet or not abide by it, or maybe it's subpar from what you thought it was going to be, or they, well, I didn't have that one. I got this one now. And it's always like, I'd rather just have the money. We got bills to pay, you got employees to pay. It's hard for them to collect, sometimes. So yes, but did get the wood. Everything worked out. Everything was great. But I was definitely on the phone a little quicker than I wanted to be. And was like, hey, so when do you think you're going to bring that by? Because, yeah, we got a problem here. Like I was losing sleep last night. Like, and they're good people. They're good people. But you know how it is when people are in those traumatic things that how can you be thinking of this right now when we lost our business? I mean, I know I'd be devastated. I'd be like, we'll get to you when we get to you. Call back later. Tony says choice home warranty and reply is now old choice home warranty. Holy cow. It sounds like Angie's List crap going on here. Angie's and who's the other one? Home Advisor. But now it's called just Angie's, not Angie's List, or maybe it's called something different now. Man, we get riled up on that stuff, man. Holy cow. I still get people that email me on that video, and oh man, I feel bad. I'm like, all I tell them, I'm like, if you really feel like you gotta like, you know, abuse yourself, I'm like, give them a bogus card that you can eliminate like immediately. That's not joined to anything else. You know what I mean? So when you decide to go, I don't like this, you can cancel that card. You don't care about that card and let them chase you. I don't know if there's any blowback on that, but tell them whatever, take me to court. Good luck. We'll see you there. You know what I mean? Because they probably won't, but they just, man, they just yuck. Yuck, 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 yuck. I never could understand that whole system. I tried so hard. It was almost like there's a layer to it. I was talking to another guy about it in another business, and he was telling me, he goes, I think whoever pays, he goes, they cater to them. He goes, whoever pays that premium, he says they cater to them. They get it on the list. And I couldn't understand. I mean, as soon as we got the email, I was getting so discouraged. I would literally be like in my truck driving around doing service calls already, and I'd get some of them right. I'd get it right then. Boom, I get the email. The secretary get the email. I would start driving to the location right then. I mean, right then. And I'd have the secretary call the customer, and sometimes the customer would be like, "We're all set." And I'd be like, "How can you be all set? Like, I just got this email. Like, what the heck? Do I not got fast internet? I mean, it's coming on my phone. It's coming on the secretary's email. Like, what are we doing wrong?" You know, or like they'd be like, okay, they don't care, right? And there'd be like 3 different technicians that would show up. Like, and I'd be there like the first one, and then like sometimes it'd be 2 other guys, and they're like, "Oh, looks like you got it covered." And I'm like, "Sorry, like, yeah, I think we're good." And it's like the customer's like, "Well, maybe I should get a price from him too." And I'm like, I don't know what to say, you know, like I can't say no, but say this is awkward. You know, what are we gonna do? Who's getting the job? But I think there is some caveat to it, like whoever kind of pays, or maybe it's just in their system how it bounces. I don't know. But and then they make fake leads, you know, with Angie's List and Home Advisor. Sounds like these. I never did the home warranties. We've done the third parties for like the commercial stuff, and they're goofy too. Make sure they give you a credit card for the material, because for some reason they can do that. They can give you the credit card for material, but they can't give you a credit card for labor. So get at least the credit card for material, so you're at least covered on that. Charge that puppy, charge a little more, maybe make your labor a little less. However, you got to do the math and go that route. Dun, choice, he says. But anywho, like I said, it looks like the chat, who knows, it could be in the system generating. And I apologize if I miss it, but I think I'm going to get off to hopefully go off to the stars. I'm glad you guys were here. Thanks for being here. Let me know if you got anything. Let me know if you get any pictures or anything. Send them. Don't be afraid. Like I said, send them away. Send them anytime. Night, day. Like I said, my phone's always on silent. So you're never going to wake me up or disturb me. And if I don't get back to you right away, it's like I said, it's because either I'm up in a lift or doing something or driving or chasing a kid around trying to, you know, spank their hiney. I don't know. You know, life throws a lot of things at us guys. You know, we got a lot on our plate sometimes. So, but anyway, I'm gonna jump off, get some sleep. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the likes. We got 21. Heck, that's awesome. I'm glad we at least got 20. We'll see you on the next one. I might still upload a video for I got something for, was it Will that was messaging me today? That's for him, not for you guys. You guys don't like the gate stuff. You guys are, you know, the garage door guys. So don't watch that one, but I might still upload it for him because he's working on a linear gate right now. So that's probably going to still come out yet tonight. I think it finally loaded. So we'll let that go. But, oh, and thanks Tony too for the openers at Costco. 149, right? 149, 149. 149, get yourself a Chamberlain. Pretty cool, I think. Pretty neat. I'd like to get my hands on. Might even have to. So sale starts tomorrow, I believe, right? We'll try it. Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. All right, guys, I'm out. We'll see you. Have a good night. Thanks for being here. If I can find the turn off button somewhere. end? Sure, we'll end so we can go to sleep. See ya.